I have some tour dates to tell you about. I'll be in Chicago, Illinois on April 24th, Miami, Florida on May 10th, Cedar Rapids, Iowa on June 19th, St. Paul, Minnesota on June 20th, Fargo, North Dakota on June 21st, Rapid City, South Dakota on June 22nd, Winnipeg and Calgary in Canada. All tickets at theovon.com/TOUR. Please go through those links so you get accurate pricing, and I appreciate your support for the return of the Rat Tour. Today's guest is a host. You know him from Dirty Jobs. He's also an author and a podcaster. He has a new show coming out in May called People You Should Know, where he travels the country interviewing regular people who are making a difference in the world around them. It's always a good time chatting with the one and only Mr. Mike Rowe.
Oh, he's bringing him.
Oh,
coffee.
good.
Look, he got me a cup of coffee.
That's how they used to do
I
it.
see. Like, you really got to work for it.
Hey, you want to be in the labor force?
You got to heat it up.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It is.
All right.
See?
Is there cream in there?
See, this is the difference between today. Look, this is the difference between my parents and us today. This is how you got a cup of coffee, like my grandparents.
Yeah, man.
They would serve it like this.
Yep.
And you figure it out.
Good luck. Figure it out, man. You're on your own.
And here we are.
Well, remember the last time I was at your place, I had rolled out of the hotel, come to your house. I wasn't quite sure who you were or where I was or anything. And all I knew was I needed coffee, and you ordered some for me. And they brought it in, and it was so freaking hot. I didn't make a big deal about it, but we were like 2 minutes into our conversation. I thought, oh, damn it, man. I literally cleaved my tongue to the roof of my mouth there for a second. I wonder if I can still be interesting. And then I just powered through and decided, you know what? It's whatever. It's just pain.
Well, thanks for doing that, man. Oh, that's the worst, bro. When you drink something so hot, but you want to be a man. That's why I think our grandfathers, no wonder they couldn't express their feelings. They couldn't talk. You know how hot the coffee was then?
It was magma.
Yeah.
And how jacked up their teeth were. They were in constant pain.
Yeah.
Like people died of their teeth back then. All the time.
Yeah. We lost at least a grandfather to teeth infection or to gum infection. At least. But yeah, people died. It was crazy.
It's bananas. Yeah, I bit my lip the other day. And this is a funny thing for me anyway, but the first time you do it, it's annoying, and it really takes you out of your meal, takes you out of your conversation.
Yeah.
And part of the reason is because you know it's going to happen again. And then when you do it again, it's a different kind of rage, right? And because it's tinged with the inevitability, like it's going to happen. And then when you bite it the third time, it's just white hot pain and like an anger at the universe, and it's irrational.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things when and maybe 4 or 5 times you're going to bite it, and it's going to be like that for the next 24 hours until your body finally sends some sort of message, and the swelling starts to go down. But it's a horrible moment in your day when you start that crucible.
It's an oral Vietnam, man. There's nothing like that. Going down that journey, the D-Day of every bite you take, and one of them is going to step on that hidden IED of a previously bitten inner lip.
An oral Vietnam.
Can we get him some coffee? It's going to happen again.
Some cream.
They just bring you more coffee, more hot
You know
coffee.
what? Maybe I should. I used to drink it black all the time, and then I went 2 creams and 1 cream. And you know what I find? It upsets people when you change your coffee order. Like the people around you in your circle, like I always thought you were a black coffee guy.
Oh yeah.
And now what's with the cream? Or what's with the almond milk? You don't want to do that. That sends a whole different message.
Yeah, definitely. In some communities, that is not good.
Well, there's no
It's not good.
there's no nipples on the almond.
Yeah, and if you're looking for him, you are a Randy character.
Well, you can't. I mean, curiosity would require some kind of cursory inspection from this milk delivery system with no nipples. Oh, look at you, Zach. That's amazing. Thank you very much.
Where'd you get those out of? Did you go into the cow?
I saw the one we had was expired, so I went to the corner.
Did you really?
Oh my!
It's right there.
You went to the corner to get me some of these little poisonous pods. These are good. There's a whole.
Oh yeah.
Why is everything?
They have melatonin
Deadly.
in them now. I'm like,
Everything.
should coffee creamer have melatonin in it?
I don't know. Isn't that the stuff that makes you tired?
Yeah, it's like, what's going on?
That is a mixed message.
I know.
Here's some caffeine with a little sedative for you. We'll just let your body sort it out.
Yeah, it's where we are.
Next thing you know, you're biting through your lip, cursing the universe. Oral Vietnam, dying of your teeth.
Oh, dude.
Dude, do you have any idea how much feedback I got? I don't know if this happens to you. Like you see yourself maybe on YouTube, and it's clearly you, right? This is a thing. You're like, you don't dispute it. It's you. You did whatever it is, whatever conversation you're having.
Yeah.
But you don't have any real recollection of the conversation.
Yeah.
You're just seeing yourself, right? Like this happened to me a lot years ago when people started uploading these incidents on QVC, like in the middle of the night where I'd been, fired for various inappropriate interactions with product. Or
You were on QVC?
Oh yeah, yeah. But when I look at those old clips, and I can't deny that it's me, but I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Or what I'm going to say next. It's very unusual. It's like biting your lip.
Yeah.
Because nothing you do about it. You just sit there and you watch yourself doing things you don't remember doing, and you just hope to God you don't, blow it.
I didn't know you got involved in this.
I'm seriously involved.
This is the dark arts, selling jewelry to people that are high on sleeping pills.
Yeah, I mean, they're lonely hearts. They're, that look at my nails so nicely manicured and all that. That was 1989.
That's you selling those?
Or 90.
Were you going to a
Yeah,
Poison concert? What were you even wearing those for?
As long as you're going to do it, find the cat sack. That's when I knew my life had taken a weird turn. This was 1990. It was my first job in TV.
Was it really? That's crazy.
yeah.
Like, I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Look at you.
Look at that hair, right?
Where were you from? Transylvania?
So this is a lava lamp, right? And I have no idea how to behave. I just want to know if it's really hot. Well, guess what, dude? It's hot, man.
Hey, put 2 creamers in it.
It's like that lava. Obviously, it's not really lava. It's magma.
Nuh-uh.
No.
That's not lava?
I opened this thing up on the air just because it's 3 a.m, right? And you're just trying to make sense out of whatever they bring you next. It could be the Amcor negative ion generator. It could be the health team infrared pain reliever. Could be a lava lamp.
Oh, yeah. It could be a child's diaper that sorts coins.
They brought me a cat sack, KATSAK, it's a cat sack. I thought it was a joke. It's not. It's like a grocery bag lined with Mylar, right? And your cat crawls in it, and it makes a crinkling sound, and cats love it.
Oh, that's nice.
So this is the kind of thing, man. I would sit there for 3 hours in the middle of the night, trying to. There was no training program or anything. They would just bring you these things that look like you'd get them out of that machine on the Carnival Midway with the claw.
Oh, yeah.
It was really just stuff that had failed to sell in prime time. And so if you're new, there's no training program. They just put you on in the middle of the night and they just bring you this stuff, man. One thing after the next, and you talk for 8 minutes.
I love that. We should bring that back. What if we brought something like that back?
Well, QVC is still on. It's just that back in those days, no one really knew about it. They didn't have any big vendors or anything. Today, they do $6-7 billion a year.
Do they really?
Giant. It's huge. Home shopping is huge.
What if we did a fun one on like YouTube and we sold American products that were American made, Mike?
I'm in. Look, there are no new ideas. Like I joked the last time I was at your pad in Nashville, it was like I really felt like you had tapped into like a Wayne's World meets Charlie Rose, right? And so all those old ideas will come back. Telethons will come back.
Oh, I love that.
Home shopping never really went away.
Telethons were great, though. You'd call up and you'd be like, who's crippled? Sometimes my stepdad would get drunk or whatever.
Right.
And he'd like want to impress my mom, so we'd ring up one of those telethons that were on he'd be like, all right, hey, it's Randy, who's crippled over there? And they'd like tell you who's crippled or whatever. And he'd be like, yeah, put $30 on that one.
Well, do you remember Jerry Lewis doing the telethons?
Yep. Jerry's Kids.
Jerry's kids. He was real. I mean, he raised like a lot of money. He did a lot of good in that world. But you get in 36 hours into a telethon, right? You've been up 36 hours.
Yeah, you're on QVC then.
That's like, and I did. There were times on QVC where it snowed, and like the next host couldn't come in. So when you've been up for that long and you're on live TV and they bring you like a collectible doll, and you're hallucinating and you don't even understand that people collect dolls, but they do, right? They do. Yeah. And so you're just sitting there like this doll would be next to me and her name would be Rachel and she'd be dressed up like a tramp from Little Women or something. And and you just give them stories, you know? It's
Pride and Prejudice.
Exactly.
I loved him as he loved me.
So Emily Bronte, or was it Charlotte?
I'm not sure. I think they've dated for a while. I'm not sure who was. They may have. One of them took the other one's name.
Well, this is like what you just did is exactly what I would do every night. It was free associating over whatever they brought. Yeah. I wasn't a very good salesman, but I was good at like starting sentences with no clear end and just keep going.
Yeah.
So the next thing you know, you're giving these dolls like very elaborate backstories. You know, like she's a doll that gives you just a hint of possibility. She says no, but there's yes, yes in those eyes. Yeah. And then the camera guy pushes in close, really close.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like this, looking at a monitor, looking at myself, looking at the doll, and a million people are watching.
Yeah, like she's new in town.
She's new in town, and she's keen to make some friends, and there's really no telling how far she'll go or how far you'll let her. Because it's really up to you, caller. For 3 easy payments and $29.95, young Rachel here will be on her way to you. And whatever you do with her in the privacy of your own curio is between you and your Lord. I'm just here to tell you that she's on sale and she looks like a sport. All righty. What's next?
Next up, Mike, we actually have the Princess Diana Beanie Babies that are in town.
Hey, that's fantastic.
They're just
Theo.
passing through, actually. Mike, there's not many of them.
Well, aren't we all just passing through, Theo? When you really think about it, this whole notion of permanence as it relates to porcelain dolls, I think that's something we can dive into to kill 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes.
Oh, I believe that. And I'll tell you that that these Beanie Babies are stuffed with it's not cotton, what is it?
It's styrofoam, Theo.
Oh, yeah, styrofoam.
They're stuffed with styrofoam. And I'll tell you, it was a bold move on a manufacturer.
Or Russian cotton, as they call it.
That's right, because when you get it wet, it swells up a little bit, like those nesting dolls in reverse. When you see that little Princess Di Beanie Baby swell up like a tick, your heart's going to beat with anticipation and wonder about what could possibly happen next.
Yep, and if you buy her now, she comes with these 2 CIA dolls. Mm-hmm. We're not saying anything. Well, you say potato, I say Mossad.
I say cavity search, because with the Beanie Baby, it's really your property. Mm-hmm. That's the beauty, especially the Princess Di Beanie Babies, because with a touch of royalty, well, they're dressed in purple, too, the color of kings, Theo. I thought that's worth
Mike.
knowing.
And if you order right now within the next 44 seconds, both of these CIA Beanie Babies will be stuffed with pure polyester or gay cotton, as they call it in some circles.
That's right. And for this week, just to mix things up a little bit, each one of these Beanie Babies, every 1 out of 100 will be stuffed with cocaine.
Oh.
So it's really going to shake things up, because who knows who's going to get it and who knows what's going to happen next.
Oh, I wouldn't put it in a baby's crib unless you want him to walk this week. That's what I'd say.
I just bit my lip.
I'm going to put 2 creamers inside of myself. Mike, we have you here. Thank you, dude. I didn't know you were in those trenches. If we, because you know what I've thought about? It would be neat to do something if we did it with only products that are American made, right? I just got this shirt and a jacket from this company, American Giant, right? So
seriously?
Yeah. Bring in that jacket if you can.
I know those guys.
Bathrop, or what's a Winthrop?
Bayard Winthrop.
Bayard Winthrop,
is the CEO of American. Are you messing with
I swear to God, dude. Bring it in. It's a gray one out there.
I'll tell you a true story about this guy, Bayard Winthrop. 16 years ago, he sent me a sweatshirt in the mail because he saw me on Dirty Jobs getting the absolute crap knocked out of me, and he saw my clothes being destroyed right and left. He goes, "This is an indestructible sweatshirt. It's 100% made in the USA, And Slate magazine had just written a story called The World's Greatest Hoodie. So it wasn't cheap, but it was made from cotton that was literally picked like outside of Gaffney maybe or Middlesex, South Carolina, where their factories were. They showed me pictures of the employees who stitched it, right? The yarn, everything. And I still have it.
Wow.
I wore that thing. It was completely, there it is, Slate magazine.
This is the greatest hoodie ever. This is December 2012.
So he sent me this sweatshirt, and I wore it, and I gave him some love on Dirty Jobs because it really is amazing. You know, it's the kind of sweatshirt. Do you remember the Champion sweatshirts?
Yeah.
With the reverse weave.
Yeah.
Right? They were like the varsity sweatshirts, the Harvard crew guys. It's the kind of sweatshirt your girlfriend steals. It's those.
God.
So anyway, I never knew what happened to the guy, but he reached out a couple years ago, and American Giant is still doing it. Like, I mean,
yeah, they're making clothes in America, right? Because this is, how did I come across this? Oh, a friend of mine showed this to me. They sent me a clip about a guy was trying to make a product in America.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do it. Here, I'll put it on for a few minutes. This is my AG right here, Daddy.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
Yep, they're doing it. They're actually doing it. People don't understand how jacked up this is. That back in 1988, 80% of all of the clothing we wore was made in America.
Yeah.
And today it's 2%. It's bananas.
It's unbelievable.
The problem that those guys have is there's a labor challenge because what's happening is they're competing obviously with China and with Vietnam and with a lot of other places. And those places, you know, they don't have the same regulations. They don't have the same requirements. They don't have the same conditions in factories, all that stuff.
Right. You don't have to be fully awake to work.
You don't even have to really be human. I'm not sure what the laws are. I just know that when the dust settles, it's a hell of a lot harder to do it here. So they do it. They're trying to do it.
They do it elsewhere.
They do it in South Carolina.
They do it in South Carolina. American Giant.
American Giant does.
But it's crazy to think that when you think about, this is a misconception that I started to realize that I had, that when I travel around the country, because we've probably, and I just said this recently, but touring comedy, we've probably done the top 200 cities size-wise, right? Like some comedians, they go to 50 cities, right?
Sure.
And they go to we went as many places as you could go. And we still have more to go. But I mean, like, you know, anywhere from like, Lubbock to La Crosse,
Wisconsin.
I mean, just we to Fargo. I mean, we're going to medium-sized cities. And you always think like, oh, well, there's factories everywhere that make things and stuff like that. There's not.
No.
There's not. And you think, oh, well, I'm sure there's always, when you're flying on an airplane, you're like, oh, I'm sure we're passing thousands and hundreds of thousands of factories that are making products and sweatshirts. We're not.
No, it used to be, I mean, the Rust Belt in particular, like that part of the Mid-Atlantic, those were factory towns.
The tetanus belt, too, they called it.
The tetanus. Well, I mean, it was, there's so many rivers up there, and so the mills were by the rivers, and so the factories were near the mills, and the cotton was spun there. But this guy Byard, he's actually become a friend of mine, and he's on a mission, and like flannel, like hand-dyed yarn in flannel was something like those old thick flannel shirts that we grew up with. You can't get them anymore. So American Giant started making those. They started making these hoodies. And the more I read about him, the more I liked him. So he's become like he's in my world now because I tried on my podcast. I'm not there yet, but I'm really trying to make sure all the sponsors have an American-made story. Just because why not? See, the thing is, man, if Trump succeeds at the reshoring effort
with the tariffs.
Yeah, that's part of it. But if in general he gets manufacturing reinvigorated in this country, then there's going to be a challenge that like a lot of people aren't talking about, which is labor.
Right.
So in January there were 482,000 open positions in manufacturing in this country. Right? 480,000 open positions. If he gets his way and this all gets reinvigorated, you're talking about 2 or 3 million new jobs, but there's no workforce sitting there going, this is what I want to do.
Or prepared to do it?
They're not. So there's a skills gap for sure.
Okay.
But there's also a will gap.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So let's talk about a couple of these things, Mike. So first, let's talk about. I'm going to take this off because it is pretty warm in here. But I will say this. This
You will
feels
sweat your
great.
balls off in that thing.
They made a T-shirt. Oh, dude, you will never. This thing will keep your coffee warm for 7 eons, dude.
I mean, not to turn it into a commercial, but I swear it's weird how soft it'll get.
Yeah.
It gets softer and it gets thicker. It'll smell a little funky.
Oh God, it's going to turn into a wife.
You can just bit my lip again.
Hey,
Damn it.
but no, this is really awesome, Mike. And I know you have a new show that's coming out on your YouTube on May 2nd, where you went and met with a lot of just workers on the ground, right?
We do a lot of that, but this thing is kind of important.
The tariff stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start there. So Trump has put in a lot of he's started this kind of tariff war, right?
Yeah.
And you hear people say it's good. You hear people say that it's bad. From my perspective, after traveling around the country, I don't know how else you're going to get jobs back here because there's a lot of towns that are boarded up. There's a lot of small cities that are boarded up. I mean, a whole city.
Yeah.
You walk through the city of Jackson, Mississippi during the day, it looks like a movie set. It's very clean. It's beautiful, but there's nothing. And that's one of 40 probably cities that we've seen that are like that. So I'm just thinking, what's going to come and save these cities if something needs to? And so then you start to see Trump put these tariffs on, and then you start to get the idea, well, it's to bring jobs back so we have jobs here so it keeps cities busy.
Yeah. And so it's two different conversations, I think.
Okay.
And obviously, I'm not an economist. In
Me
fact,
neither.
I don't know an economist who thinks tariffs are a good idea. I really don't.
I don't know an economist.
I know a couple, but the ones I'm most interested in are like slightly right of center where they don't agree either, right? So like everybody is either having a conversation about whether or not it's a good idea economically. I call that like a tier 2 conversation. You're having a tier 1 conversation. You're saying, well, wait a minute, what if there's something in the country that's actually more important than the economy long term?
Right.
What what could that be?
The economy of the human spirit, I think.
It could be that. And, I get all kinds of grief for this, but I think it's a fair analogy. I think about, I think about slavery in 1870, right? And I think about the conversation that was going on in the country. And a big part of it was, wait, if we get rid of this, do you have any idea what it's going to do to the economy? Not just for the South, which would collapse, but for the North.
Who's buying all the products.
Who's all dressed in cotton.
Right.
And of course, there's the triangle trade, molasses, rum, slaves, right? This is an eternal wheel that had been going on for time immemorial.
Yeah, dark rum, where do you think that came from? You know what I'm saying? You put a couple,
I think I know what you're saying.
I'm just saying you mix a few items and you got that's the best rum they got.
It's good rum. But if you fundamentally were to make the slavery decision based on nothing but whether or not it was good or bad for the economy, well, we'd still have slavery.
Right.
So we got to a point where people said, wait. This can't keep going.
This isn't human.
That's right.
Right.
And so it was bad.
Right.
The economy crapped the bed. We fought a war. A lot of people died. And I don't mean to sound glib when I say it. I don't know what the real ramifications are going to be. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do think that the reason people are talking past each other with the tariffs is because some people are saying, look, it's a tax, period. It's not good for global trade, which is true. But if there's if you're trying to transform Jackson, Mississippi, then you at least have to elevate the conversation to this other set of consequences that might happen if you shake the whole thing up.
Right.
Now, I put a big asterisk on that, i.e. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I do believe that there are unintended consequences and intended consequences. And the consequences of messing with the tariffs are probably both.
Right. But do you think Trump, his intentions are good?
Here's what I think. When I started my little foundation, which, by the way, we're still doing it. We've got $3 million we're giving away this month in these work ethic scholarships. So we're training people for skilled jobs. We're training people for manufacturing jobs. We've been doing it for years. That's me in a cap and gown sitting there without any pants on, as if to indicate optically that even though I have my degree, I'm not actually trained for any of the opportunities that currently exist.
You look like you just graduated from San Francisco. I'll say that, dude. Nice legs.
It was an experimental
That's
phase.
okay. My dad used to wear those shoes, dude.
Hey, you can see my shark bite there on my left knee. There you go. Looking at that hurt.
Yeah, a lot of sharks over there in San Fran, those bays, buddy, you know?
So Trump's intentions, right? I don't know. I don't know the man.
Right.
I'm rooting for him. But here's what happened to me. When I started that foundation.
You started this.
Yep.
Because your foundation gives out
work ethic scholarships.
Work ethic scholarships, and people can apply on the website.
If you click on scholarship right there up at the top, it'll take you to well, that's me and a bunch of people who got the there you go. Yeah.
That's awesome. Can we donate to that?
You can donate to it, sure.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. In fact, we just auctioned off, these guys up in Ohio made me a truck. They made a MicroWorks work truck. Rogan's head exploded when he saw this.
Yeah.
Right? This is a 1964 Power Wagon, and they built it from scratch. It was beautiful. And they took it to the Barrett-Jackson auction, and we got $1.5 million for it.
Way.
So that all went to scholarships. I remember last time
We're going to donate
you,
way less than that.
I was auctioning off all kinds of crap from dirty jobs to raise money. We've given away about $12 million in these things.
That's amazing, man.
But I'm not saying it because I'm awesome.
No, you're just saying this is a way that you're trying to be a part of the things that you've gone through and seen. You want to put guys back in the workforce and make them be prepared. Is that right?
That is right. And the answer to your question regarding Trump actually starts with Obama, because the year we started this in 2008, I don't know if you remember it, but he had a thing called the Highway Infrastructure Act, and it was big news, headlines everywhere. He was going to create 3 million shovel-ready jobs, right? And I was rooting for him. And then dirty jobs at the time was at its absolute peak. And what was weird as the country was going into a recession was everybody I was talking to on dirty jobs, there are 12 million unemployed people, but they all had like help wanted signs out. They were really struggling to hire. And their basic bitch was, we just can't find people who are excited to pick up a shovel. We can't find people who want to do the work that we have. So I reached out in an open letter to the president in 2009 and just said, look, man, I am rooting for you. I think 3 million shovel-ready jobs sounds great, but part of making that succeed has to include a campaign to help make shovel-ready jobs cool, because right now people aren't buying it. There it is. Look at that, man. You guys are unbelievable. That's an open letter to the president.
March 11, 2009. I am awed by the task at hand and compelled to tell you about MicroWorks, a public awareness campaign designed to reinvigorate the trades. Yeah, there needs to be, you're saying, look.
I'm saying it because it's about to happen again.
Right.
Donald Trump is going down a road, and if he succeeds, he's going to create millions of manufacturing jobs in a country that currently has nearly 500,000 manufacturing jobs open, because the people who run those factories can't find people who want to do the work. So it's not enough to create the jobs.
Right.
And look, a lot of your listeners are probably thinking, well, make the pay better, make it more interesting, make it more palatable. And then we can have that conversation for sure. But the bigger issue still is there's no enthusiasm for the work. We took shop class out of high school. We robbed kids of the opportunity to even see what that kind of work even looks like. Meanwhile, we told a whole generation of kids they were freaking screwed if they didn't get a 4-year degree, right? And so people say, Mike, how did college get so expensive? I know you know this, but nothing has gotten more expensive in the last 40 years than a 4-year degree.
Yeah.
Not real estate, not healthcare, not energy, nothing, right? And so we keep telling kids they're screwed if they don't go in this direction. We free up endless money to loan them. So now you got $1.7 trillion in student debt on the books. You've got 7.6 million open jobs right now, most of which don't require a 4-year degree. And here's the other screwed up part. You got 6.8 million able-bodied men who are not only not looking for work, they're out of the workforce and not looking.
Right.
So all of that together, we've never seen that before in peacetime anyway. So something beyond the tariffs, something beyond policy is going to have to happen to make 22-year-olds go, yeah, man, I would consider doing that.
Right. What happens when your health becomes the punchline? From seed oils to stress, toxins to pollutants, the modern world is screwing with our health at the cellular level, leading to exhaustion, brain fog, digestive issues, and more. But here's one thing you don't have to settle for: feeling like garbage 24/7. Armra Colostrum is nature's original health hack, packed with over 400 bioactive ingredients that fortify gut integrity, strengthen immunity, revitalize hair growth, fuel stamina, elevate focus, and help you function like a human again. Armra Colostrum. We've worked out a special offer for our audience. Receive 15% off your first order. Go to tryarmra, TRYARMRA.com/Theo, or enter Theo to get 15% off your first order. That's TRYARMRA.com/THEO. I like Armra Colostrum. I put it in my smoothies. I enjoy it, and I'm happy that I take it. Armra Colostrum. Well, I've got some thoughts on that. So one is, do you think that the college, one of the reasons it went up was because most of that money was loans, and then that was almost not a scam, but a scheme to...
Scam's good.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wow.
Look, it's a product, man. What you're selling...
right, but how does that money... So just so I know, so I'm clear. So that money works because then the college loans it to you, they put interest on it, and then you have to pay it back.
Well, the college doesn't loan it. Sometimes you might get a scholarship from the college. That's not a loan. But financial aid packages can involve like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which sounds like your awesome aunt and uncle somewhere.
Yeah, it also sounds like you borrowed some money from a guy in Memphis. That's
well, actually, what it is some faceless bureaucrat in a tall, soulless building in Kansas City that's just crunching the numbers, right? So
the more people that they can get to go to college, the more the more interest that they can get off of these big loans, right?
So sure, the people loaning the money are getting interest on the loans, but it's the colleges themselves that, like right now, like literally as we speak, there's a screaming headline. Trump just put a hold on $2 billion of federal money that was going to go straight to
Harvard.
To
right?
Harvard.
Yeah,
that's right. Now, why would he do that? You know, people are screaming, "Oh my God, it's something about free speech," and $2.2 billion in grants to Harvard has been paused due to activism on campus. Where in the headline does it tell you that Harvard has a $52 billion endowment? Nowhere, but they do. They've got over $50 billion in an endowment.
Yeah, that might not even have an effect.
Well, I mean, look, colleges, especially the top tier colleges, have an awful lot of money, and they have a steady stream of customers because in our society, we have completely bought into the notion that what you're purchasing in these schools is an education. What you're actually purchasing is a credential.
Right.
Whether or not you're educated or not, your experience may vary. Look, dude, I'm looking at my iPhone right here. If you've got an internet connection, you have access to 98% of all the known information in the world.
Right. How you process it and how you utilize it, that's up to you. Yeah.
That's you. So it's not fair to say that you can get a liberal arts degree on your iPhone, but you can. Right. It's not fair to really compare, lying in your bed like I did 2 weeks ago, watching a free lecture at MIT and saying, it would be the same experience if I were there in the classroom. But it's close enough to say, well, wait a minute. If the first one cost me $0.0 and the second one is going to keep me in debt for over 20 years,
when we take the first one,
what am I doing?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I feel badly about painting with too broad a brush. My liberal arts degree served me really well. I graduated 4 years after you were born, I'm guessing. 1984 I graduated.
Beautiful year.
All right? It was a great year. I went to 2 years in a community college.
A lot of hot chicks then too, huh?
Couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting a prospect.
God.
You know those collectible dolls on QVC? Mm-hmm. It was very, very similar.
Yeah.
It was a good time to be alive. I was also singing in the opera back then.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot you were that you were an opera guy.
Yeah, it was a thing I did.
Cat calling. Dude, if you hear that cat call, you stop. If it's just some fucking Chicano whistling at you, dude, I'm keeping walking. But you hit a guy, fucking hit half of an Ave Maria on his lunch break near an open manhole, dude. I'm like, you got to stop.
Well, people pay attention, man. That's what, like in the first season of Dirty Jobs, I sang. I didn't even know the cameras were rolling. I was just blown away by the acoustics in a sewer in San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
So I sang, Vecchia zimara senti, il resto al pianto, scendere sacria montio devi, le me grazia ricevi. Right?
Okay,
So
I'll have the antipasta. Okay.
But it was like the image of a dude wearing a rubber suit, squatting in a sewer, covered with other people's shit.
Oh, yeah.
Singing Puccini. To your point.
Literal Puccini.
Poopccini. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, people didn't know what to do with that. You don't know where to. It's like a lot of cognitive dissonance in your in your brain.
There's a lot going on at once.
And there's a parallel here.
It's kind of what's going on right now.
That's it. People, like, if you sing opera, you shouldn't be in a sewer. If you're in a sewer, you should be getting paid crap wages. But what do you do? What do you say about a guy in a sewer who's a multimillionaire, right? Like, what do you mean he owns his own septic tank business? What do you mean he worked his way up to become a successful entrepreneur without a college degree? How is such a thing possible?
Yeah.
Every day, Theo, we've got 2,200 people have gone through MicroWorks. I'd say 30% of them are welders. I'd say half of them are making mid-six figures.
Yeah.
Nobody believes it. I spend most of my time now in this space sitting down with people who are 25 years old and looking at a camera and saying, hey, I get it. Don't take it from the opera singing rich dude covered with other people's crap. Okay? I get it. I'm not persuasive.
Yeah.
But listen to her. Listen to him.
Right.
Right? And so that's how the needle starts to move, and that's part of what has to happen.
So you're saying that if the tariffs work, right, part of that is going to have to be that we're going to need people who can do the jobs, do the manufacturing jobs here. We're going to need those skilled labor workers, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, and we don't have all those right now. We need them. We don't have them. How do you, so we almost need like remember that Uncle Sam poster, like, I want you, like, we need that PR campaign to get people hype because yeah, you just need that thing that's going to get people hype a little bit.
It's not just PR.
It's ethos too, you think?
Well,
what is ethos? Bring it up.
Yeah, bring up ethos and tell us and all these Greek words, you know, the Aristotelian definition of a tragedy, anagnoresis and peripeteia, a characteristic of spirit, a culture, era, or community is manifested in its beliefs and aspirations. That's it. A challenge to the ethos of the 1960s.
So can I have an ethos on myself, kind of like my own spirit?
Yeah, let's absolutely.
Okay.
So if it's an individual, it's a worldview. I think an even better way to think about it is a code. Okay. Do you have a code? If you do, what is it?
Like Dexter kind of, but my own thing? like a code?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, look, man, this will sound really outdated and hokey.
Integrity, you mean?
I do mean integrity. I mean, when I was a kid, like the first time I had to raise my hand, the first time I had to take a pledge, it was the pledge to the flag.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't really know what it meant. I was too young. I just memorized it, right? But later, in the Boy Scouts, you know, I had a scoutmaster who was a retired Army colonel. He was a hard ass, and he took this really seriously. So you like raise your hand and pledge. You take the scout oath. Now I'm only like 12 years old at the time, but I remember thinking, This feels like there were candles lit in a darkened room, and it was serious. It was as serious as could be. It's easy to look back and laugh and poke fun, but
No, we did the same thing.
it mattered, man.
Yeah.
On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country. Like, wait, that's just the first sentence. Never mind whether you like it or agree or disagree. Challenging kids to take an oath and to make a pledge. My foundation has a thing called a sweat pledge. You have to sign it if you're applying for the particular pile of money that I've accumulated through donations, and I'm super stingy with that money.
Well, AA they have a pledge in the beginning that you do as a group. There's something about doing something as a group that makes you feel a part of a group. That's how a group works. That's how tradition happens, right? You can't just have it without actually participating in it and vowing to it.
You must assume individual responsibility, but you must do that in the presence of other like-minded people.
Yeah.
So my sweat pledge, which I ironically wrote after some bourbon, stands for skill and work ethic aren't taboo. I was just looking for a way to make people make a promise. And you can find it out here. It's now a curriculum actually in 70 schools, but it's based on the 12-step recovery process.
Wow.
And the Boy Scout law. Trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent, combined with these really old school affirmations around things like gratitude and delayed gratification and personal responsibility and work ethic and aversion to debt. I actually have something on the sweat pledge that says, I would rather live in a tent and eat beans than pay for things I can't afford. Now, people call me, they're pissed, their parents call, right? There's a tenet on the pledge that says, I believe that my safety is my responsibility. I understand that just because I'm in compliance doesn't mean I'm out of danger. Now, I believe this because I nearly got killed half a dozen times on dirty jobs. There it is, number 6, right?
Oh, yeah.
So this thing makes people crazy. They resist it.
But this is a code really here.
It's my code.
It's your code.
And it starts right at the top, man. I believe I've won the greatest lottery of all time. I'm alive. I walk the earth. I live in America. Above all things, I'm grateful.
Wow.
Now, you can disagree with that, and we can still be friends. But when I get calls from parents or teachers or kids who are going through this application process, and they say, look, I'm not really comfortable signing this, then I say, well, then this particular pile of free money might not be for you.
Yeah.
It's okay, man. I mean, I work really hard, and I raise a lot of money, and I give a lot of it away. And I make no apology for wanting to help people who at least see the world
The same way you do.
or something adjacent.
Oh, I agree. I think that makes perfect sense.
But you can't run a business that way.
No.
Like you can't hire people based on their worldview regarding gratitude or personal responsibility, at least not in California.
Yeah, probably not in California. You can't, but I think just, you got to keep it off the documents, but secretly in your head, you can low-key have some
Nudge,
ideas.
nudge, wink, wink.
Do you think there's something different about the Gen Z workforce, or do you think they haven't had the same examples that previous generations had,
Yeah, I do. I think, well, look, again, painting with too broad a brush sucks. And,
I agree. We're not pointing at the Gen Z workforce like you're bad or anything like that. Because, it's so funny. It's like we had a guy on recently, this guy Alexander Wang, and he's not the fashion guy that got murdered. He's like kind of a semi-Chinese guy, but he founded Scale AI. It's an AI company. And he was saying that one way to look at AI is that everyone will kind of level up, right? It's like suddenly kind of robots or computers will do a lot of the more menial tasks.
Yeah.
And everyone will kind of be a manager. And it's interesting because if you say that to me or your generation, our generation, kind of, that people would be like, well, I don't want to be the manager of 5 robots and I sit in a small dark room all the time and that's my life, and maybe I get 4-day work week instead of 5.
Yeah.
But if you told my nephews that, hey, you get to be the manager of 5 robots and you just sit in this room and control them all day, they would think that's awesome.
Right.
Just because of how they've grown up, like everything is so gamified. So it's kind of interesting because you start to get into what the whole like perception of work, of being alive even is to people. Does that make any sense to you?
It starts.
I mean, there's a lot in there.
There's a lot, but what you're really saying is like, what is a good job? What is a bad job? What is a clean job? What is a dirty job? And once you start to create some sort of hierarchy, which makes sense, everybody's free to do it. You ought to do it. But, you know, if Bayard were here, the American Giant guy, he would tell you a story about the individuals who made that sweatshirt, right? He would show you the factory line. Mm-hmm. He would introduce you to the farmers who grew the cotton. He would show you step by step how his entire supply chain is insulated from these tariffs. These tariffs hadn't affected him at all because he doesn't rely on any of it.
Right.
He's totally independent. So he's taking kind of a victory lap right now. But his big point would be you would have to see the enthusiasm among his group of workers when they created a sweatshirt that became the greatest hoodie ever made. And you can look at that and go, it's a freaking sweatshirt, dude. But it's not a sweatshirt.
Right.
It's not that. It's not about the sweatshirt. And this might put it into even better focus, just so your listeners understand how jacked up things are. I got a call 6 months ago from a company I bet you've never heard of called Blue Forge Alliance.
Mm-mm.
All right. Blue Forge Alliance.
They do siding or no?
In a manner of speaking.
We went through a siding phase. We'll come right back to this idea. I remember we went through a siding phase in our town once. Somebody came through with a semi truck full of siding. It fell over, and they said people had a bunch of people stealing siding, you know, and so
we sold that on QVC.
Y'all sold siding?
No, the same siding.
Oh,
we had a whole racket. They would bring us the siding that was stolen from the neighborhoods, and I would sell it in between collectible dolls.
Well, people in our area hadn't seen siding before, so they were putting it on the sides of everything, dude. You put siding on a house, siding on a floor.
Sure.
Yeah, you'd have siding on the ceiling. It's like, it is not supposed to go up there. People had siding, bro. They put siding on a damn baby while it was resting, dude. They would just
siding on a ceiling. It ain't supposed to go there. This is basic.
Crazy phase,
yeah.
Dude.
It was a crazy phase.
But back to Blue Forge.
This is crazier.
Okay.
This is crazier than that.
Okay.
Blue Forge Alliance is in charge of the American Maritime Base, and there they are.
Okay.
The American Maritime Base is in charge of delivering 3 nuclear-powered submarines every year to the U.S. Navy. 2 Virginia, I think, and 1 Columbia class. These things are longer than the Washington Monument is tall.
Wow.
Okay, they are the pointy part of our national defense.
Yeah, they'll seat about 40, won't they?
Well, look, if things go sideways with Taiwan or China and get hypersonic, I worry about our aircraft carriers. They're exposed like they haven't been before.
Yeah. Oh, shit. If things go sideways in Baltimore, we'll send one over there, you know?
So it's the subs that matter. Now, Blue Forge represents 15,000 individual companies, and these companies have to deliver 3 a year for 10 years. They called me, right? And they say, look, we're hiring tradespeople. And we're kind of in a rush. I'm like, well, what do you mean a rush? And they said, well, we're desperate. And can you help us find them? And I said, I don't know, man. It's pretty skinny out there right now. There's a lot of competition. How many do you need? The guy says 140,000.
Wow.
I swear to God. And you can find it on the site there. They're hiring over the next 9 years 140,000 welders, steam fitters, pipe fitters, electricians, all of the construction trades, plus all kind of electronics and technical stuff. Very, very few of those positions require a 4-year degree.
Right.
140,000 openings. And the guy says, Mike, we've looked everywhere. Do you know where they are?
Can you send me a few phone numbers?
I said, actually, I said, yeah, dude, I know where they are. They're in the 8th grade. That's where they are.
Yeah.
And if you want to get them, holy crap, they put my face on an I want you to work in the trades. Who's doing that back there?
I don't know, dude, but what we need are robots, ROWEBOTS.
Would you send me that? Whoever you are doing this amazing, non-authorized, copywritten stuff, I'm gonna use that.
I thought robots was a good pun that deserved a little bit more than that, but
it's not bad. You could have Mike robots, little tiny versions of me.
Yeah. That's a cute idea.
It's adorable. They would sell on QVC, man. They would kill.
This is the smallest worker. This is the fire ant of the work community.
Let me land the plane.
Okay.
Here's the point. That crisis that right now is impacting our submarine base, I think you can draw a line between the enthusiasm of the workers who build one of these subs, and believe me, you should meet these guys. They understand they're moving the needle. They understand that they're the pointy part of the spear with regard to national defense. It's a big deal. You can compare not the work, but the feeling to the satisfaction that comes from making the greatest sweatshirt in the world. And if you can do that, you can do it for virtually every product in between. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
There's somehow or another, and I started talking about this early on in Dirty Jobs. It just became clear that in our society, we had identified work as the enemy. It's like the proximate cause of all our misery is the fact that our frickin' boss is up our ass, and every day for 8 or 10, 12 hours, I got to go make little rocks out of big rocks, and life isn't fair, and damn it, something ought to be done. And this whole thing is modeled around the idea that I have to do whatever it is I have to do until I get to the point where I can retire. Right? So like I'm retirement age now. I like the idea of retiring is so insane to me.
Yeah.
Like, so why
Still work to be done.
there's more than ever. So look, to answer your question, I'm super sympathetic to Gen Z. I want them to find meaningful work, but the meaning it's not inherent in the work. It's in the dude.
Right.
It's in you. And you get to assign whatever level of meaning you want to that sweatshirt or that nuclear sub or this cup of coffee or this poisonous cream that your people brought me that right now is either making me tired or jacked up. I can't decide yet.
No, in 30 seconds, you're going to start telling us all your secrets. You're going to tell us where you keep your favorite wood whittle.
My greatest fear
Is a whittle a tool?
A whittler could be a person who whittles.
Okay.
A whittlet could be a thing that you whittle, but a whittle flunk is the actual tool in question. And you can Google that. Now, you won't find anything to confirm any of it. I just felt like it was my turn to talk again.
Oh, that's very fair. I'm going to say this. You know what? You're right. And I think that used to be a part of kind of what you were saying even in school. It's like, I pledge allegiance to my country. This country means something to me. Like, my grandfather worked at this factory where they made parts. It was for FMC, right? And they made like parts for elevator shafts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he would go to the factory and it was like this thing. And then when we were in elevators, we would see his little emblem on the thing. He'd be like, oh, Grandpa made this,
Dude, that
kind of stuff was huge. It was like, even like native, like in cultures, there are stories that you tell your grandkids. It's like the meaning of being human, we passed from each other. We passed it in like relics and in artifacts, and you keep things from people that meant something to you. So I think that just because that only happens, it doesn't only happen like in your family, like if your grandfather passes away and you keep something that meant something to him, but it happens as a community too. It's like you have things that mean something to you and that carry on.
one of my
Does that make any sense? Am I rambling? I'm okay.
no, dude, I'm telling you.
Yeah, what the fuck are you talking about? Of course it makes sense, dude. It makes you feel alive, dude. It makes you feel alive. And then like you see something across town, you're like, man, I was a part of that. And you get to drive by and tell your son, I built that house. And your son's like, no way. I want to learn how to build something,
Why do you think people lost their shit when Obama said, you didn't build that? You didn't do that. We all did that together. It was an insult to what you're saying.
That part of us.
It doesn't mean that we're not all part of a team, a country, a concerted effort, but it does mean like if you rob an individual of that feeling, then you have reduced his work to only the transactional. It's just a paycheck now.
Right.
But I'm telling you, my life changed. It was early on in Dirty Jobs, and we weren't even really filming yet, or it was after we shot, and I was working with a mason, and I was in his pickup truck, and he was dropping me back at the hotel. And as we're driving down, we were in some little Midwest town, and we were driving down some easily forgettable street, but the architecture on either side was super cool. right? And as we're driving, he was like pointing up to the facade. He goes, yeah, we did that one. And then around the corner, he's like, yeah, we did that one too. And see over here, the way that one took. And as he was talking, like his eyes were filling up. And he was driving past his life's work, and it was there on display to be seen. And I was very happy for him to be able to have that, but also very mindful of the fact that you can see the same wonder in the sewer, right? Like the architecture down there and the technology. Now, except you'll never see it. And you'll never see the guys who tend to it because it's all out of sight and it's all out of mind. And that's part of the point too. You don't, that thing you described, I got a call from have you heard of Moog, M-O-O-G? It's down in your neck of the woods. It's actually Boaz, Alabama.
Oh, damn.
Okay. It's not so little. Moog makes virtually every ball bearing in your car or your truck. They've been making ball bearings for years, forever and ever. They turned 100 a couple years ago. And, you know, the guy called me. They're part of Federal Mogul Motor Parts. And they were like, can you maybe just come down here and look at our factory? And can we film you looking at it? And can you just talk to some of our people? And I said, well, yeah, probably. Why? And they're like, well, we just think it would be great if somebody were paying attention to the fact that we've been doing this for 100 years and that there is no automotive industry without us.
Wow.
So I did. I went and I brought a little crew with me, and I wound up giving them a 60-second love letter. You know, I know a place in Boaz, Alabama, where people understand, right? They played that at their annual thing, and I got a video of people watching the video I made.
Yeah.
Tears streaming down their face. So
purpose,
pride,
both.
Code, integrity, all that stuff, man.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is, 30 pounds ago, you fat bastard. But there I am, going the extra mile. American Pride with Mike Rowe.
Some hotties in the back.
Well, you know.
Going the extra mile right there, American Pride with Mike Rowe. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. You know, some people think that mental therapy and mental help and getting mentally regular are luxuries, that only fancy people can do it. Oh, I can't be mentally well. That's for them, you know. That's for them fancy folks. But that's not true. Everybody deserves to feel comfortable in their own skin and in their own skull. And sometimes if you're troubled, you can't figure something out. It's better to share it with someone. Talk to a therapist. Therapy should feel accessible. BetterHelp. That's who I'm talking about. With online therapy, you get quality care at a price that makes sense and can help you with anything from anxiety to everyday stress. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you to fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, switch therapists at any time. Your well-being is worth it. Visit BetterHelp.com/Theo to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/THEO. Is pornography causing a problem in your life? Do you find yourself watching porno for longer periods of time and having trouble stopping? Is porn affecting your relationship or dating life? Well, you're certainly not alone. Watching pornography has become so commonplace today, and oftentimes men use porn to numb the pain of loneliness, boredom, anxiety, and depression. Shame and stigma prevent men from talking about these issues and getting help for them. I want to introduce you to my friend Steve. Steve is the founder of Valor Recovery, a program to help men overcome porn abuse and sexual compulsivity. Steve is a long-term sexual recovery member and has personally overcome the emotional and spiritual despair of abusing pornography and has dedicated his life to empowering men to do the same. Steve is an amazing person, and he is a close friend of mine. I mean that. Valor Recovery helps men to develop the tools necessary to have a healthier sex life. Their coaches are in long-term recovery and will be your partner, mentor, and spiritual guide to transcend these problematic behaviors. To learn more about Valor Recovery, please visit them at www.valorrecoverycoaching.com or email them at admin@valorrecoverycoaching.com. Thank you. Well, let's talk about like the workforce a little bit. Then let's talk about some issues that they face for a few minutes. And then I want to talk about your new show.
Great.
Last time we spoke, we talked about minimum wage, right?
Last time we spoke, I said there was no justice if you didn't put spunk minions on a hat. I told you a story of artificial insemination. You coined that term. At least I'd never heard it before. The coffee came out of my nose, and I said, for God's sakes, man, please.
Hot coffee came out here. It was still hot.
Hot coffee cooled down with some of this, poison. But yeah, I remember last time. It was that conversation. I'm not blowing sunshine, dude. I got more people, more of the people that my foundation tries to reached out to me.
Really?
Yep. To say, I heard you on Theo Vaughn, and I would like to apply for a scholarship. What do I do?
Wow.
I mean,
that's awesome.
No, you need to understand. Well, I'm sure you understand, but I do this all the time. Hundreds of people. Because the problem is, man, I preach to the choir a lot. I talk to people who already, your audience is the future of this country. A big chunk of them are anyway. I don't know about the others.
Well, I do believe that one thing I think I have in common with a lot of my audience is that the way that we feel about stuff, right?
Yeah.
We might have different views on things, but I think our feelings are a lot the same. And we talk a lot about like purpose on here. Like we had a guy named John Vervaeke come on and talk about purpose. We had Richard Reeves, this really great. He talks about how men aren't leaders in their communities anymore. They're not doing Boy Scout troops. They're not teaching in classes anymore. So we're losing this male to male connection piece that is part of what keeps our desire to be like performing human males, so we talk about this kind of stuff a lot. Maybe there's a way we could figure out something to do where we could, where we would love to donate and then just continue to help send people your direction too.
Well, look, man, I'll never say no to a couple bucks, but I don't need it. What I need is what you're doing, right? I mean, what I need is for the people listening to, like, if they're serious about what you just framed, the book to read is called Men Without Work. It's by a guy called Nick Eberstadt. Yeah, he is a real economist, and I know him. Mm-hmm. And he wrote this thing years ago, but republished it during the lockdowns, and that's where the real truth of this is, man. That's where that's the real story, Theo. At the time he republished this, there were 7.2 million able-bodied men, not only not working, but not looking. Now the question is, well, what the hell are they doing?
Right.
The research goes deep and wide, and it's horrifying. By and large, the majority of them are spending 2,000 hours a year on their screens. They're scrolling. They're looking. They're inward, right?
Right.
And what that means is they're not in the JCs or the Kiwanis Club or the Boy Scouts
or the
Lions Club or the YMCA, right? They're not in their local church. They're not volunteering in their community. They're not doing anything at all except living some version of what was it? Thoreau, lives of quiet desperation.
Yeah,
and that's. And I want to tell you one other thing, too, that really blew me away. I knew of you. I didn't know you. And it's cool that you texted me and stayed in touch over the last 2 years since we talked.
Oh, thanks, man.
No, but it's most people don't do that.
Really?
Yeah, they don't. And I had so much fun talking to you that, I took a deeper dive, and one night just was scrolling through, and I watched you sit here, or maybe you were in Nashville, I don't know. But somebody called in, and they told you a story. And it was a common story, but it was a sad story. And it was a combination of addiction and struggling with that, and a kind of hopelessness and this kind of desperation that my friend Nick writes about, And what you did two things that were really interesting to me. The first thing is you sat and didn't say a word. I've never seen anybody do that before. You just sat and looked at the camera like you're looking at me, like you actually listened. And then you talked for about 3 minutes in about the most empathetic way I had ever seen. I took that clip And I sent it to my little network. And I said, look, man, this war is going to be fought on a lot of fronts. It's a war of public opinion, to your point. It's persuasion. It's all these things. But what this guy is doing right now in this space, in this way, is important. So, yeah, man, I don't know how big you're going to get, and I don't know how wide your audience is going to be. But the fact that it's as big as it is, you're funny. You're funny as hell. I was going to crash one of your shows in I forget what town I was in. But it was like, what is it? The Rat? The Rat was back or something?
Return of the Rat tour.
Return of the Rat,
yeah.
Man.
That's the thing. You can't keep a rat down. You could kill a rat, bam, another rat, boy.
They pop up, dude.
They keep popping up. But that's who we are.
You're resilient.
We're resilient.
And that's, Louisiana doesn't have a lock on that. But I'll tell you what, man, Dirty Jobs Louisiana is very good to dirty jobs. I mean, from Baton Rouge to Lafayette to Cut Off, I did my time there.
We should have been cut off and we stayed on, dude. That's Louisiana. Louisiana Purchase, first of all, thank you very fucking much. You wouldn't even have a third of this country if it wasn't for Louisiana.
Thomas Jefferson, 1803.
Making that deal. And we kept the receipt, I'll say that.
It's a good one.
And also, we have nutria rats that live underwater, bro.
I know.
That is something else. But thank you, bro. That's very nice of you, dude. Yeah, I think that's the one thing that connects our audience is just there's this way that we feel, and a lot of it is hopeful, right? And so that's the side that I choose to err on when it comes to the tariff stuff. It's like, I have no clue. Like, if it doesn't work, what the fuck? What do we lose? I believe that we are at a severe crossing point right now where if another generation without like a sense of purpose, it's not going to matter. Nothing's going to matter anymore. There won't even be enough of a person inside of our grandchildren for it to matter too. Like, even if you bring the gasoline, there's not going to be enough of a amp inside of them to even spark it up. It's like, even I think the human spirit is a muscle, right? That's how I feel about it. And I feel like it's always there, but it's like the stronger that we work it and the more that we encourage others to work it, and it's scary, man. I think people don't realize it's scary, but then I think part of all of us realize that something scary is going on.
Well, the stakes are big.
Right.
I mean, $37 trillion in national debt. That's the national debt.
Yeah.
$37 trillion. Most people, like, you really don't have to be an economist. You don't need a pedigree to understand that that's getting a little wobbly and it's not sustainable. So something radical has to happen. Something really unpopular is going to have to happen.
Right, and it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable.
It's going to be wildly uncomfortable.
But what's going to be way more uncomfortable is whatever's after that. It doesn't even sound human to me after that.
I go back to the slavery thing. I mean, the idea of getting rid of that in 1860, right? It was so many otherwise rational people who were walking around, influencers of the day with columns and people giving oratories and speeches, really smart people were saying, we can't do this. The country will collapse. And other people were like, well, then let the heavens fall, because that's a hill I'll die on, right?
Yeah.
So every now and then something rises to a place where you just can't talk about it the way you'd been talking about it.
Right.
And look, man, I really wonder 150 years from now what our great-great-great-great-grandkids will be saying about us. Like, how, right, like, what will be the slavery of today? Will it be the fact that we let our country become completely dependent on other countries who really don't like us much? I mean,
they don't have any care.
It's insane. China. I interviewed a guy yesterday who you would love, Jan Jekielek, he's called. He writes for the Epoch Times. He's a senior editor over there.
Okay.
And he has been on China hard for 20 years. And he believes one of the greatest untold stories right now is the fact that 60 to 100,000 human organs are being harvested from prisoners in China every year. as we speak. They're called the Falun Gong, and they were 70 to 100 million of these people have been persecuted forever.
Falun Gong. I'm going to quit ordering it.
Dude, you have to – it is bananas.
Falun Gong.
When you look at the number of prisons in China that have hospitals built right next to them, you have to go, well, what's up with that? And when you talk to these people, and there are countless examples, who are scheduling open heart surgeries, they're scheduling kidney replacements, right? You can't schedule those. You go on a list, and then you wait for somebody to become brain dead.
In a motorcycle accident.
That's right, because you can't take a heart from a cadaver. You have to take it from a living but doomed person.
Yeah.
Right? And so cutting that line is about the rudest thing, right? I mean, that's a line you don't want to cut.
My sister got a liver transplant, and we had to wait, and they called us over, and we get over there and be like, nah, the guy's going to stay alive. And we're like, well, fucking don't call us then. We just drove over here.
I can't even imagine what that is like, but I can tell you this. The organ industry in China is a $9 billion industry, and people are they're making appointments for livers. They're making appointments for hearts.
Based on knowing when the guy's going to die? Or they're killing them?
They're killing them, dude.
Wow.
It's not based on yes, it is based on knowing when they're going to die. Exactly. Because they kill them. And you know, what they tell you is, well, you know, look, he's on death row anyway. And so like they tell you a lot of things, and you'll go, okay. And so it's back to slavery. It's like, well, you know what? I don't really want to look at the reality of organ harvesting. If my kid needs a heart, please tell me a happy story about how the inmate is a murderer, right? And we're going to go, and right before we kill him, we're going to anesthetize him and take his heart. Tell me that story. It's not much different than in 1860. It's like, look, I need clothes, man. My kids need clothes. Please don't show me the raping and the whipping of these poor people. Please don't show me the Middle Passage and what happened, the unspeakable conditions on those ships. I don't want to see that.
Right.
I just want my clothes. Now, when I'm talking 150 years from now, maybe I could be talking about 150 days from now. Please don't show me the abortion.
Right.
I don't want to see that. Please don't show me the diseased lungs in your attempt to get me to stop smoking. I don't want to see that. Please don't make me shoot the cow in the head. Now, I did that on season 3 of Dirty Jobs. I slaughtered a cow and butchered it with a mobile butcher just to show viewers where the food comes from and what it takes to make a porterhouse, what it takes to get a sirloin, the difference between all these different things. People's heads exploded because the truth is, man, they don't want to see where their food comes from.
Right.
They'd prefer to think it's growing on a hamburger tree. And we really don't want to know the truth about a lot of this. I mean, look, we're joking about this, but you really want to know what's in this little creamer? You really want to know why this thing can sit on the shelf for years? The answer is nothing good.
And a baby won't eat it too. You see the one where they try to give that to a baby and they won't eat it.
Yeah, because they know. They know. So, look, we're ostriches. And we got our head in the sand on a lot of different things. And a lot of parents, you know, to bring it back to kind of where we started, they don't want to see that $200,000 they invested in that college degree can't get their kid a job in his chosen field. We don't want to look at $37 trillion in debt. We don't want to look at the fact that our country is making only 2% of the clothing that we wear. Dude, we have in this country, a third of the United States is covered with timber.
Yeah.
Covered with timber. Now, our forests are rotting and they're burning because we're not tending to them. Meanwhile, guess who the leading importer of timber is in the world?
China.
Us.
Oh, we're the leading importer of it, but we have a great deal.
We have more than anybody, and we're the leading import. California has so much timber, and they import 80% of what they need. How much energy are we sitting on?
Right.
I just look at all of it, and I don't need to get political. It's not political. It's some weird combination of virtue signaling and head in the sand.
Well, and also I think our media is probably a lot of it has been under control of people who, don't want to champion America, maybe, you know? I don't know if that's true or if it's just the fads and the way that things have gone. But it seemed like things have gotten like anti-American somehow in the past even 10 years. Like the American flag even became like kind of a right-wing symbol as opposed to the symbol of our country. And whoever's people think that things just happen. I believe that there's strategy behind a lot of stuff that's out there. I want to switch to a topic of but we talked before about minimum wage. I don't think people can survive on minimum wages these days. I just don't think that they can do it. And Bernie Sanders talked about how, well, if a company makes more money because they start using AI or for whatever reason, shouldn't that minimum wage go up within that company for the workers, you know?
What do you think?
I think we have to do something. If somebody makes $8 an hour and they work for 8 hours, that's $64. You can buy food for your family for that day these days.
Yeah.
With that.
Well, look, I mean, there are a lot of thoughts on that,
and I know there's not one perfect answer.
There's not, but you can learn. I think. I mean, you have to understand that those jobs, minimum wage jobs, were never designed to be
forever.
Careers.
Right.
They're rungs on a ladder.
But for some people, they are careers, though.
But
the majority
have
they're
that
not.
conversation next.
Okay.
Like, but like the first thing to understand is you don't like the purpose of work is not to merely make money. It's probably the biggest reason. You've got to put food on the table. I get all of that, but you don't go from a kid into a fully actualized, mature working person. You have to go through all kinds of like a crucible of fits and starts and good jobs and jobs that make sense. And, you know, whether it's fast food or whether it's maybe digging a ditch or maybe putting siding on a house one hot summer, right? It's like these jobs that don't pay very well offer something else that's really, really, really important to a person who is maturing and growing.
I know what it is, I bet.
Say it.
They offer you the time to think and plan and strategize and get excited for something that you want to do. It's almost like a soil that you get to be in for a little bit.
It's like a buffet.
I remember that now.
It's a buffet, man. You don't – you're not going to eat all of it. It's not all going to taste good to you. You have to experience a whole long list of shit, and most of it is going to leave a funny taste in your mouth. Most things aren't for most people. It's a giant process of figuring it all out, and also learning who you are. Now, I get it. That doesn't address the fact that somebody busting their ass with inflation being wherever it is and the cost of goods being wherever that is, can't afford to feed their family on that salary. Now, the other side's going to say, yeah, why'd you have a family? What are you doing? Why would you have a family before you have the means to provide for them? And then we're going to have that whole conversation, and it's going to get politicized. But if the basic argument is, wait a second, the people at the top of this company are being unfairly enriched at the expense of the work, I totally get that.
Right.
I totally get it. And I'll tell you something that gives me hope, all right? Because I get constant.
Thank you. Because we get stuck in the doldrums sometimes. We get stuck in the ditch and we don't look for the light.
I'm going to give you the light, at least a couple beams of it. The doldrums and the problem almost always happens because it's door number one or door number two. Everything is binary. So in this conversation, it's, well, are you union or are you management? Are you labor or are you management? Right? And like people have to choose. And now it's easy to forget that these are two sides of the same coin because we always pit them against one another. And then people wind up in interviews like this or any one of 1,000 other conversations, and they're going to get tagged as one or the other. So my hope is in an organization called Opportunity Works. And I learned about these guys pretty recently. But 2 years ago, a company called Groundworks, who you'll love, hired me to give a speech in Virginia Beach when their CEO turned 5,500 of their frontline workers into owners.
Wow.
Okay? So here's what Groundworks does. Groundworks will fix the foundation on your house. Mm-hmm. They will encapsulate a crawl space, and they will waterproof your basement.
Oh, I was hoping you'd say hide your stepmother down there, but that's okay.
Well, that's an upsell. But they'll do, I mean, look, you got to know who to talk to. But they, like, if you scroll through that, that's Dirty Jobs 101.
Yeah.
I spent a big chunk of the first season underneath houses doing this kind of work. Now, a lot of these people, they've got a high school education. Some went further, but a lot of the 5,500 guys I met on that day, they spend their life doing backbreaking work. They were made owners. It's like an ESOP plan, and it goes all the way down, all the way through the company.
Wow.
And it's another one of those moments, Theo. I'm sitting backstage, and I'm watching. These guys are there with their families, and this is a financial event. Like, it changes their life. So I said to the owner, hey, man, I like this because now I don't think there's any, frankly, need for, like, how does a union negotiate against a member if they own the company?
Right.
It's like you just took all the air out of that tire. And he said, well, if you like this, you got to meet my friend Pete Stavros. Pete works for KKR. Now,
Ooh, that third letter I wasn't sure I was going to be.
No.
I was like, whoa.
Whoa,
dude.
Mike.
Bro,
I'm not feeling hopeful.
we're trying to head forward.
KKR. These were the original barbarians at the gate, the whole Nabisco. Like, that world of private equity gets a really bad rap. And in some cases, I think probably deservedly.
I don't know about them.
Well,
That's okay.
It's a deep dive, but
Okay.
it's like when people talk about roll-ups, what they're talking about.
I don't know about that either.
Okay, let's say you've got a heating and air conditioning company,
Yeah.
plumbing company, electric company. Let's say you've had it for 25 years, and let's say you'd like to retire, but you really can't, and you got 30 employees, and you love them, and it's their job, and so forth and so on. So the industry consolidates when private equity comes in and says, wait a second, we'll buy you. Okay, we're going to make you more efficient. We're going to put you under some other name. Okay, and you'll be able to retire because you've worked hard, and your people will. Well, we're going to do. In some cases, it's good for the workers. In other cases, it's not so good because in the name of efficiency, you can gut a company.
Right.
So that's the negative rap on private equity has been that. But now what's starting to happen, at least in these home services businesses, is that this ownership works element, this guy, Pete Stavros, who works for KKR, has done this Groundworks deal. There's Pete. He's awesome. They've done this with like 70 companies where they'll go in and they will work with management to make everybody in the company an owner. And it's a tough sell for management because they got to let go of some stuff. But the research is incredible. Over time, what happens is these companies explode.
They stay alive, and people are excited about it and hopeful about it.
Dude, who do you want to come to your house to fix a plumbing problem? An employee who, is the epitome of a stereotypical plumber,
right?
Butt crack, hanging out, pissed off, overweight, right? Like everything you've seen plumbers portrayed as.
Yeah, drugs, coke.
Or would you like the owner of the company to come out and fix your problem? It changes everything. And I've seen, like, you guys should take a deep dive if you want, but look at some of these videos where, like, I saw one the other day, a company, I think they were outside of Chicago, Nucor maybe, they make garage doors. It's another one of these companies you would never think about. It's like Moog and their ball bearings. And what is that? Well, all of a sudden, like, you got truck drivers in these companies who have been there for 12 years. And when this scheme goes into place, they leave this gathering with a check for $400,000, $500,000, $600,000.
Changes the vibe.
That's a financial event in their life. And it changes the way you think about that sweatshirt, right? That's what I'm talking about. There is a way forward that doesn't keep us stuck in the binary of labor and management.
And I think you have to realize, like, I start thinking, like, the only way to compete with big business is you have to start a new way to do big business that like I wanted to sell like a water, right? I thought like so many people are in recovery and so many more people are headed into recovery for drug addiction, sex and pornography addiction. Like that's one of the biggest epidemics that's coming right now is pornography addiction, right? Yeah. And it's not even here yet. It's coming.
I see what you did there.
Well, dude.
It's coming soon.
I don't know. Hopefully not super soon. Dude. It's just you and me in here.
Stay on that bull for 8 seconds and we'll hope for the best.
Oh, yeah. How bad's that creamer over there?
I feel sleepy. Can I lie down, Theo?
Yeah, dude. That's it. Okay, I could keep going on that. But yeah, it's like you have to fight fire with fire and you have to fight it with more compassionate and empathetic fire. I was like, well, what if we sold a water where the proceeds of it went to put people in rehab, right? So then it would be really hard, especially these days where so many people – all they have left is how they feel kind of because a lot of other things have been taken away from them. It'd be hard to say, okay, I'm not going to buy this. I know this is going to help somebody get better, right? It's like, I think you have to start thinking beyond like this circle that we've been in of just like profiteering and of like combining everything. Everything's just like these, what are they called when they all get together, but it's one owner or whatever?
Co-op. A
co-op or like because a lot of the stories that I heard, I just thought about this. A lot of my friends' stories were that their dads got laid off after working at a place for 20 years and 25 years. Or their grandfather. That was the story that I heard where I bet a generation earlier was, my grandfather got a big severance thing and he got this and that and he was like the pride of the company. A lot of the other stories became my dad got laid off after 22 years. They didn't get, And I think a lot of that happened because, like you're saying, umbrella companies came in, things got consolidated. We're meeting with Mark Zuckerberg, and they're like up against antitrust stuff right now.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Which is pretty crazy and scary.
Oh, dude. I mean, there's so much to think and say about Facebook. Mark's coming in here specifically?
We're going to see him in Los Al or whatever they live at, Facebook.
Well, yeah, they're down the peninsula from where I live, north of you. Amazing campus. Check out the roof.
Really?
When you go there. Yeah, I don't know if it's changed.
Is it good? Is it siding?
It's sushi and a lot of siding.
Yeah.
Sushi and siding. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, a roof is just brave siding.
Let me tell you what Mark did for me, just so you get a sense. I mean, there's just endless things to say about the guy.
I'm fascinated to get to spend time with him.
Well, I wouldn't be here without Facebook. I know it's crazy because there's clips of me out there telling Jay Leno I'd rather have hot needles stuck in my eyes than book a face or send a tweet or whatever that was.
Oh, yeah.
But, once I realized that all the shows I work on could be programmed basically by the people who watch them, that was amazing to me. So I get, 8-9 million people out there now, 6 on Facebook and a couple.
That's great.
Oh, no, look, these are my bosses, and I'm super late to the YouTube party, but I just got 1 million over there.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, you do shows on there too. It comes out May 2nd.
You're right. And that show wouldn't exist without Zuckerberg.
Okay. Let's hear about it.
So 6 years ago, Mark invites me down to Facebook and he talks about this thing called Watch, Facebook Watch. And the thought was, who are we going to be, 10 years from now? And who are we really going to compete with? And how is that going to work? And could we be Netflix? Should we be a kind of Netflix? So that company basically committed to spending close to $1 billion to answer that question. So how do you figure it out? You greenlight a couple of shows, and they did something called Ball in the Family, some famous basketball player. Mm-hmm. They did something with Jada Pinkett Smith, and they did something with me. What they did with me was a show called Returning the Favor. Returning the Favor, I think you would dig. It basically, I would look for, and Facebook would tell me about people in these little towns that you probably couldn't find on a map that were doing something super cool in their neighborhood in a totally selfless way. So it's like bloody do-gooders running amok, right? And so we would go in there and we'd meet these people and we would tell them, like, I'm not there at this point. I would send the crew in and they'd say, hey, we're working on a documentary about your town. We understand you're doing some good work, maybe with foster care, maybe with PTSD, right? And we would love to talk to you about that. So meanwhile, they're filming that, and I come in later, and parades are arranged, and we free up a big chunk of money, sometimes $100,000, to maybe build something that allows them to do more of what they're already doing.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Some kind of gift. So the show, it was a feel-good show, but it was also the making of a feel-good show. Now, here's where it gets crazy. We do 100 episodes, which is a lot. The show's a hit.
It's a lot.
It's downloaded 450 million times.
No way.
Okay.
Dude, congratulations, bro. You're an infection, and it's a good one.
It gets crazier. I win an Emmy. Okay. Like, I never won an
I hope
Emmy.
it was Emmy Rossum, huh?
Oh, man.
Is she cute or not? Sorry, that was a bad joke.
No, she's something.
She is? I don't even know who she is. I was just thinking of the only Emmy I know.
No, she's a good one. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, she's talented.
Rossum damn near killed him, huh? That's an old Emmy Rossum joke.
So what you got to know is this never happened. Hits are hard. Emmys are hard. Of all the things that I've worked on to be recognized this way, right? So we get to 100 episodes. I win my Emmy, and we're canceled 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Now, that's impossible. But what happened at Facebook was they decided after 4 seasons that this whole watch platform
Wasn't working.
they're just not going to compete with Netflix. So no harm, no foul. But it was we had 2 million people on a Facebook page who would watch that show like on the edge of their seat. And it was a giant community of people who really gave a shit. And they were super interested. Because remember, not so long ago, in fact, today, the country is so divided and there's so few things everybody can agree on, you know? This show was, I think, one of them. It was just a celebration of the neighbors you wish you had. I don't own Returning the Favor, but we're relaunching it next week, May 2nd, under a new title called People You Should Know. And dude, I'm not like overly earnest. I get all my sentimentality is taken care of in my foundation. But this thing, I mean, whether it's addiction or you're going to meet a guy on this show called Steve Hotz. He runs something called the Black Horse Forge down in Fredericksburg. Mm-hmm. The PTSD thing, you're up to speed with how bad that is?
Not how bad. I mean, I know that it's you hear about it so much and it's used so much. I think it's hard to know what's really going on with it.
Well, last year, 6,407 service people killed themselves. And divided by 365, it's like 17.5 a day.
Damn.
But that doesn't count overdoses. That doesn't count, death by misadventure, addiction. You like add up all of the deaths, the preventable deaths of despair, and the numbers way beyond that. So on Returning the Favor, we profiled the number of things people are doing to combat this, you would love. We hunted pythons in the Everglades.
Good.
With these
I hate
guys.
them.
They're annoying. They're big and they're very snaky. Putting motorcycles together in Indiana. You got to get these guys out of their head if you want to help them. This guy, Steve, the Black Horse Forge, has had 22,000 vets come through.
Wow.
0 suicides. He's batting 1,000.
Steve Hotz?
Yeah.
You got to get
HOTZ.
him in here.
Dude, so this guy was like a dress designer, an interior designer, all right? He goes sideways with his boss. He decides to enlist, 82nd Airborne, has hundreds of jumps, compresses his back, damn near breaks it, loses an eye, comes home, absolute rock bottom. He's just, it's everything he loved is upside down. And he starts making knives in a forge. And realizes that when you're forging, the only thing you can think about is really what you're doing and don't burn yourself, right? And it so completely took him out of his head.
Good. That could have gone either way. You see a depressed dude making a knife, you're like, how's this going?
He's made hundreds.
Wow.
He's got a whole line called the jackalopes, named after cryptozoological creatures, right? Like the beast of Bladenborough and all these things. So he's one of the guys we'll be featuring on this thing. That's him.
There he is, right
That's
there.
him, man. One-eyed Steve. Fucking tough son of a bitch.
One-eyed Steve. Yeah, he threw me out the door. You're listening to Widespread Panic?
Yeah.
I like them.
Oh, wait a minute. Am I conflating Panic at the Disco?
Yeah, you might be.
They should combine. You'd have Widespread Panic at the Disco.
at least for one small tour.
One massive stadium extravaganza. Yeah. That'd be something, dude.
I like that. Or Def Leppard and Glorilla, maybe like Def Glorilla.
Def Glorilla, yeah.
Dude, they should have cool bands that merge. Taco Bell and Pizza Hut did it.
How about Queen and Kings of the Stone Age?
Yeah.
Kings and Queen of the Stone Age. Like
Yeah.
have a little family. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, or just like, or Trans of the Stone Age, you know? Or Bye.
I was going to say Kansas and Boston. Get all this. Kansas, Boston, and Chicago. That'd be amazing.
God, that's a great idea.
I'll tell you what else they want to. This whole QVC thing dragged forward with a guy like you. If you'd have me, I'd do it too. But a celebration of American-made products done at with this level of production, what you really need is a back office to help you with the stuff. Do you know Josh Smith, Montana Knife Company? Get his
Dude,
ass
didn't we
in here.
see each other at Dave Ramsey's thing? Were you there? No.
I've done Dave Ramsey's thing. Were you there?
I don't know if we might have been there at the same time. Or Tucker Carlson, were you at that Zen thing he had?
Yeah. This guy makes
Yes.
some of the most. He's a master bladesmith. He was on Forged in Fire, and I met him about a year ago. This guy, I mean, talk about a quest. He makes everything is in America, just like Bayard over at American Giant.
I love that.
Only he's up in Montana. These knives are amazing. He comes on my podcast, and full disclosure, he's not a sponsor, but he said, you know what you're doing with MicroWorks, anything I can do to help. And people offer, they say nice things, whatever. So I said, well, I tell you what you do. If you want to make a MicroWorks blade, real limited, I promise you my people will buy them like that because your knives are amazing. And, when they go to your site, maybe they'll get a sense of who you are and what you've done and how many jobs you've created and so forth and so on. And he makes 300 of these things. Wow. They're unbelievable. They're not cheap. We sold them for $350. Let me keep we raised like $70,000 immediately. Now they're doing a knife, and my foundation participates. And I'm going to talk to Bayard about doing something similar because, to your point, you got to fight fire with fire.
Right. That's the thing. You can't just keep yelling at it. You can't just be like,
No.
This is what they're doing. This is what you have to start to be like, well, how do we how do you ingenuity it or whatever it's called? Ingenize. Engineer.
Well, look,
Yeah.
dude,
How do you, but that's how you win. It's like, but just pointing the finger at a time that you're not doing anything.
here's something.
You have to win the game up here first.
You gotta. It's what it is. It's asymmetrical warfare. You have to think that, like in this conversation, typically Walmart is the devil because the rap is, oh well, they're buying stuff super cheap because people need it super cheap, and that's what Walmart is, and whatever. The thing people don't know, and I don't work for Walmart, but I'm just telling you, I know them pretty well, and they have spent nearly $700 billion on U.S. supply chain.
Wow.
So what happens is, God, I hope I'm not talking out of turn.
No, they made a deal with American Giant too, didn't they?
Yes, that's what I'm going to tell you. And this is what your audience needs to understand. And this is why it's really hard to get, good guys and bad guys with black hats and white hats. It's not that simple. So you got a company like American Giant who makes a great T-shirt, and it says American made on the front. It's thick. It's indestructible. I got one. Bad news, $75.
Yeah.
Now, most people can't pay $75 for a T-shirt, no matter how rad, right? You just can't. It's not in the wood. But what happens if a company like Walmart, the biggest retailer in the world, sets aside a real chunk of money and calls a company like American Giant and says, I tell you what, we love that shirt. If we order 1 million of them, or even 500,000,
Now they can do it.
as opposed to the normal 5,000 or 10,000 IPO you might get, if we blow this thing up, what kind of price could we actually get at that level? And then the price starts to come down.
Yeah.
$15, $20. Under $20, you can get an American-made T-shirt. That's what you're talking about. It's not going to happen with the current way of thinking. The problem is, if I go out in the world and tell that story, there's a whole long list of union people who are going to say, Mike, you don't understand. Walmart's the devil because this, and this. And I say, look, I get it. That's your fight. And I don't particularly have skin in that game. I'm sympathetic to your cause. But it's back to that tier 2, tier 1 conversation.
Right.
You want to talk about tariffs like it's only an economic thing, or you want to talk about it up here? If you're going to talk about it up there, you can't just look at Walmart as the devil because you've been told they're the devil. And you can't look at American Giant as a small, scrappy U.S. company that makes things that are too expensive because they're doing the best they can with the way the table's been set. But if you get these two guys together and all of a sudden you get a different kind of investment in a supply chain in our country in a different way, and that's how a T-shirt can be made in this country for a price most people can't afford. Yeah. And that's a story that, look, that can happen with knives. That can happen with anything.
Anything. Imagine like a QVC type of thing, right? Where it's like, this is American made and it's awesome, right? You would like make sure that the products were good and that they had enough of a supply chain where they could sell, or maybe they can only make 50 this month, but that's what they are. And then they're limited. And then you have like something that's real person made it. And then when you're walking around with something on your back, this is like, you're not just carrying, you don't just have a shirt on your back that makes you look cool. You have somebody's well-being and their purpose on your back. You know, and so now you're carrying something together. You know, once you're both carrying purpose, it takes a lot of, it's pressure if it's just you, but if you put the same weight on two people, that's purpose, man.
Well, look, man, that's rod busting 101. Look what you just did.
I sound like Dennis
full
Rodman.
on metaphor there.
Yeah.
Like I did a job a couple years ago with these rod busters. They're iron workers, right? And they carry the rebar. Mm-hmm. Right. So you got a chunk of rebar, say it's like, I don't know, whatever the gauge is. It's thick. These things weigh a couple 100 pounds and you get like 8 of them. So you got 800 pounds on 8 guys' shoulders. And that's the only way you can move them. You know, you have to put the weight on your shoulder. Where it gets crazy is, well, that guy's short and that guy's 6'3". Now, if you're 6'3", you're screwed.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of,
Right, so it's like it's really a great metaphor because when you're humping the iron up to the top of the skyscraper, you're stepping through a grid of rebar that's already been laid. And if you trip and you go down, you take everybody with you. So it's an incredible metaphor for teamwork, consequences, stakes, working together, right? And to your point, there are other ways to get the rebar to where you need to set it, but this is the best way, and it really does take a different way to think. And then, ironically, of course, have you ever seen a bridge before they pour the concrete, where the whole thing is just like a skeleton of steel?
Sounds very nice.
It's beautiful and it's artistic, and it's like what we were talking about before. There it is. That's like a whole panel of rebar there, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's just on the floor. But when you see like an overpass being built, it's like some kind of a dinosaur, and it's all done with hundreds of tons of iron. And like the guys who do this work, there you go. That kind of thing. It's just mind-boggling. And then when they come, like the concrete guys come, and they bury it, man, forever. No one ever sees the artistry. No one ever sees the work of the iron worker. For 100 years,
That's a good point.
It'll live in the concrete. Well, that's like so much of that is happening to people today. They feel like their good work has been covered in concrete. They feel like it's invisible. They don't feel appreciated. They don't feel like they're moving the needle. They don't feel like they're part of a team. You know?
And we have to do it. The toughest part then is, I've found in my own life, when it is, it's not like you're playing the victim, but sometimes you're the person that gets affected by something, but you also have to be the person to be a part of fixing it. And that's the toughest thing, because there's a part of me that always wants to be like, this isn't fair. And I'm not saying for me, I've been fortunate in my life. I can afford to pay my rent and I can afford to buy my groceries. But there's certainly been times where in the past where I've been like, this is unfortunate. It's it's society. It's this fault. But still, it put me in a certain position. I still have to be the one to correct my position.
Dude, it's you.
Right.
In the look, whatever it is, it starts with you. That's why the first tenet on my stupid sweat pledge is about that gratitude. I don't think you can feel sorry for yourself if your default position is grateful.
Yeah. Oh, that's the truth, man.
I just don't think you
self-pity can be a drug. I was addicted to self-pity for a long time. I didn't even realize it.
Yeah, man.
I was addicted to self-pity. I was like, oh, and I would get addicted to it.
Feels good to feel bad.
It does, especially when that's the thing you're most used to feeling. It feels impossible to even attempt to feel good. Yeah. I was afraid to feel good because I was afraid I would leave my bad feelings behind, and they were the only feelings I'd ever even known.
Oh my God, you would betray your negativity,
yes,
and thereby let yourself down again. Yeah, that's
crazy, and I never even knew that could happen, man. That took a ton of work to get to do that. Yeah, I would love to think of something. It's so funny because I've been trying to think of that. How do we fight fire with like a fire that has a feeling in it, right? And then, yeah, what about unions though? We had Sean O'Brien come in about unions. Unions helps a lot of people. Do you feel like unions are bad, or do you feel like unions are good, or it's just
too broad?
Too broad. Never mind.
No. It's a great question, but it's like, okay, so the iron workers we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a cheap question to me to just fling at the end.
Well, look, my own problem. It's first of all, 2,200 people through MicroWorks. I'd say maybe 25% of them are working through a union shop.
Okay.
Most of them are electricians, some plumbers. But by and large, the percentage in my cohort of scholarship recipients and workers it's actually bigger than the national. I think the national right now, 8% of workers are in a union or something like that, maybe a little less. You can check it, I'm not sure, but it's close to that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't want to paint with too broad a brush, but the thing, it's like tier 2 and tier 1 with tariffs. If you're going to have a conversation about how best to negotiate mm-hmm. between labor and management, mm-hmm. there you go, 10% in 23, 11.2 in 23, 6.7 private sector. That's really what you're asking. Look at that, 6.7% in 2024 in the private sector, like iron workers mm-hmm. or plumbers. 35.7% in the public sector. That could be the post office. That could be teachers. That could be the SEIU. That could be, all sorts of different things.
If businesses start to become more like groundworks, you wouldn't even need a union.
Thank you.
So really, again,
that's the future. Fire with fire.
How do you, it's reconceptualizing things.
I call it door number 3, right? You can't just give me one or two, right. Left or right. Blue collar or white collar.
Republican or Democrat. No. It's all a shell game. You have to realize this whole thing has been a shell game.
It's a sucker's bet.
Yes.
It's like the color of collars is no longer for sale. Don't talk to me about blue or white collar. That's the point of the groundwork story. You got a guy covered with mud under your house, your greatest investment, okay, doing something to save the foundation. Now, are you going to call that guy a blue-collar worker? You're going to call that guy just a grunt?
That guy is a fucking
superhero.
Surgeon at that moment.
That's right.
For your family to sleep safe at night, that guy is your surgeon.
That's right. And he's also an owner of the company.
Yeah.
So now all of that other pride of ownership, all of that other code-driven integrity thing, right? You can start to see how you might be able to build a cohesive unit mm-hmm. around something other than a paycheck. And that's not an excuse to say the paychecks couldn't be better. I'm just saying that if you only look at the economic ramifications of a tariff, that's not much different than only looking at whether or not you like your job based on what your paycheck says.
Yeah.
And if you take the bait on that, the next thing you know, you're going to be having an argument about UBI, universal basic income, mm-hmm. and you're going to get sucked into this whole conversation about, well, what are people going to do if there is no work, and we ought to just pay them not to do anything, and then you've got all kinds of moral and ethical questions.
Yeah, kind of. But
it never stops.
If at a certain point you have to invest in your own country and your own people, the spirit of your own people. And I can't understand how that's not extremely evident right now. And if UBI, if universal basic income helps people to get by for a couple years or 5 years while like things adjust from going from let's try to build stuff here in our own country and make people feel empowered and if they're part of an assembly line of humanity and of purpose and of a nation and of a group think of a moral code, then I think that's totally fine. Let's stop giving money to other places who have enough money right now and help our own people out for a little while. You know, and I know I'm opening up bigger cans of worms, but yeah, it's just I am all in because if you don't do it now, it is to me it appears like it's kind of going to be a wrap. But I still believe that there's that human spirit, that there's that team spirit, there's that that whatever made those people, whatever that thing is to be an American, even if it's not even real, but that we believe in it, there's still that inside of us that makes me believe that we could turn it around.
That guy, Bayard, who you brought up, he's a Wall Street guy. And 16 years ago, he said, no, his family came over on the freaking Mayflower, just so you know. Wow. That's who this guy is. And he said, nope, redo. I'm going to build a company called American Giant, and I'm going to prove that this country can still make quality clothing. Now, that's a very personal mission that could only be embarked upon by a genuinely hard-headed dude, okay? But 16 years later, they're still standing, and they're doing it. They're proving it, right? Now, can you do it to scale? This is a whole other conversation.
Right.
But
we'll talk about it another time. We can. But yeah, can you do it to scale? What pieces have to start? But you have to start somewhere. It's like the crazy person, the leader was at first the crazy person. The revolutionaries were first viewed as insane, always.
It's not just that. It's every great accepted truth today began as madness.
Yeah.
It was dismissed, and then it was grudgingly considered, and then it was slowly accepted as fringe, and then it was more widely believed as possible, and then it got a consensus, and then it became the truth, and then it became the self-evident truth.
Yeah.
That's how it always happens. It's going to happen with every single thing right now, from tariffs to climate change to meat eating, to addiction. All the things we think we know about all of these different things are in a state of evolution.
I agree.
And I don't know where or how it ends, but I'll tell you this, man.
It's exciting.
We are long in certainty today, and we're very short in understanding. And it's just going to take time. It's just going to take time to be as certain about these other things as we are about slavery. You know, it takes time for people. And I don't know how it ends, but look, again, you're engaged. What you're doing, I can see that you love it. You love it on stage. You love talking to people, and you love helping your audience. My hope for everybody who is listening is that they can find a pursuit that gives them a measure of that. And I've seen it in welders. I've seen it in plumbers. I've seen it in entrepreneurs. I've seen it in writers. My mom just wrote her 4th book. She's 87. This woman wrote every day for 60 years, Theo.
Cleaning up after my dirty son?
Well, that was kind of her second one. But no, for 60 years, her dream was to be a best-selling author. She never got published till she was 80. And then she went to number 4. And now she's had 4 books. I only mention it because I talk about work ethic all the time. I talk about my pop. I talk about dirty jobbers and everything else. My mom, right in front of me, is a 4-time New York Times best-selling author, and she's 87. And that's a second act. It didn't really happen for her till she was 80.
Yeah.
So whatever level of hope or hopelessness or despair people are in, man,
I feel like we've just talked about a lot of inspiration. I mean, I feel inspired. I feel like we can do things. I feel like things are so possible, right? And yeah, I just appreciate that there's an audience that tunes in, and I hope they just stay patient, and we'll keep thinking together, and we'll find ways to do things new. I don't think it's that far off to change things,
You're a hillbilly from Louisiana who just interviewed the president of the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's a great.
Are you kidding me?
That is a great point, dude.
When people tell me,
dude, I remember when I couldn't find my shirt for almost 1 month.
by the way,
3.5 weekends, dude.
You talk about shirts. I can't believe you got a wardrobe rack here.
Oh yeah, we do.
And the whole smiley face on the thing and that's exactly what you were talking about. That's your. It's like your credo. It's your code. It's such a simple thing. You know, what's it say on the back?
It just says be good to yourself on the back.
Well, there you go.
Because yeah, we're a lot of late bloomers here, but we're fucking hopeful. And yeah, I think we can do something cool. Like we just have to make sure we get it right, you know?
You got to try, man.
Right, you have to try. That's the thing. About tariffs, like fucking try. I don't give a shit. There's nothing to lose. I've been to every place. Everybody I know is in addiction. What are we waiting for to happen?
Tell me how it's working with 37 trillion in the hole. Tell me what's working. Okay, this whole thing is cobbled together with Kleenex and spit, and we've confused the fact that we're still living in a workable situation with a situation that truly works.
Yeah,
It's very wobbly.
Kleenex and spit, I agree, man. It's time to clear our own throat and make our own fucking glue, too, I think, you know?
I thought you were going to go with phlegm.
It was phlegm, but it was...
Well, if you're clearing your throat, you're cutting up the phlegm, you can put the phlegm in the glue, and then the next thing you know, it's all in one of these little Sunny Delight things. And I'm feeling weirdly caffeinated and subdued.
Micro, your new show is out May 2nd. We'll make sure to share some clips of it on our Instagram page as well and on our Facebook.
Thanks, pal.
Yeah, and it's a rehash of, it's not a rehash, it is a continuation of.
It's a celebration of the neighbors you wish you had. Returning the favor, thanks to Mark Zuckerberg, set the standard. People you should know is what I'm going to do. Look, I don't even, I don't know what else to do except point the camera at people who are actually making a difference, whether they're making a sweatshirt or a submarine or saving lives by making knives in a forge, man. These stories, Theo, that's where we land the plane with your permission. If you're looking for hope,
yeah,
it's in the forge. It's in the sewing machines. It's with a welding torch. It's with an attitude that says, I'm going to cheerfully take hold of that son of a bitch and I'm going to lift it up and I'm going to do my part to get the rebar to where it needs to go. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try. And if I fall, I'm going to stand back up because life is it's a journey, brother.
And it's a job.
I'm not going to say a dirty one, just a job.
Mike Rowe, thanks so much, brother.
Anytime.
Now I'm just floating on the breeze and I feel I'm falling like these leaves. I must be cornerstone. Oh, but when I reach that ground, I'll share this peace of mind I found. I can feel it in my bones, but it's gonna take.
Today's guest is an actor, a writer, a director. He's won an Oscar award. You know his movies like Good Will Hunting, Gone Girl, Batman, the list goes on. He has a new film, The Accountant 2. It's in theaters this Friday with John Bernthal. You may have seen the first one. I had a great time getting to know him. Today's guest is Mr. Ben Affleck. Yeah, I lost mine. I wonder if you lose vanity as you get a little bit older. Like, not you, but like, what is that?
I don't know. I see some people like, I don't know. It's hard to tell because, you see some people like doing crazy looking things and you think like, that looks crary. Why are you trying to look 18 years old? You know what I mean?
Like that guy who's on Celebrity Big Brother right now. Who's that guy? He kind of looks like Jack Sparrow.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I can imagine. You know what I mean? You kind of can... I think you can go one of two ways. Like if you see yourself all the time, and especially if like the way you make a living is by kind of in part the way you look or whatever, it feels like, people can get like obsessed with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of who I was thinking of, Mickey Rourke, I think.
Yeah.
No judgment against him, but he trusts, it's like it's definitely an active, Yeah, some people it's like an active thing, and then you're in a real kind of like conundrum with yourself because you have to get old. So then you would constantly be feeling like afraid to get older, I guess, or you'd be in like in a
Yeah, I think it's a tricky thing, right? Like you know, nobody wants to get older, right? Because what it means is like you're going to die, and nobody wants to really face that. And also, you just find out like, you know, you're 50, man. When you get there, you'll see like just regular shit that used to be normal hurts. Like moving around, you're like, damn, what happened to me today? You're like, why is my back hurt? Oh, because I got up and then I sat back down. You know what I mean? Like,
I petted a small dog.
Creates like small injuries all the time, you know. And so you start to get a little bit that can kind of affect you. And I think if you, I think part of it's you got to just get comfortable with the fact that you know. And I guess I'm lucky because I don't feel like, oh shit, I better look young, and I, you know, kind of am who I am, and I'm all right with that. And also, kind of what I like, what I'm interested in more and more is stuff that doesn't necessarily involve like how I look, like that pressure. I think like for women, for anybody who sees himself all the time, it's like I think that can turn into like a vicious cycle of trying to look at shit and fix it or look younger or something. Whereas like you don't have to look any kind of way to direct movies, you know what I mean, or have a business, you know. So I guess I'm lucky in that way.
It's hard to know if it would seem like you seem like a guy who likes being in Hollywood or doesn't like being in Hollywood, I guess.
There's things I really like about it and things I really don't like. Yeah. Right. And I wish they didn't have to be together, but they are. Right. Like it's kind of life. You got to take the good with the bad. I don't really like to like do big social events or go out much. I'm kind of shy. I don't really want to be on camera. Certainly when I'm like in my regular life and I'm walking around in my, you know, whatever, underwear and t-shirt and stuff. I don't want people looking at me. I have my family and my kids and my life. I wish that were more private. I don't know how many people really want to be sort of scrutinized in that way, but I really like making movies and I like telling those stories. And so look, the truth is I always knew that was kind of a part of it. And so, you know, I deal with it. There's things I don't love about this business, a lot of them. You know, it can make you kind of crazy, you know, it can record. And there's stuff that's just no fun for me, like, you know, events and shows and stuff like that. Some people really know how to have a good time. I wish I did. I wish I was out there like, great, we're going to hit it. And I'm going to, you know what I mean? Like as if I had that attitude, I'd probably be happier about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. I'm always trapped inside of myself. There's always like a lot of like some people are like, you don't like being in a crowd. I'm like, I have a crowd inside of me right now.
There's a crowd in my head is busy enough.
I got 30 people in here and we're out of hors d'oeuvres. So I got enough fucking problems on the interior right now. So I can totally relate to that. And every time there is and then we'll get off this. I want to talk. I want to talk to you about directing and acting, but because I was like, this bit is so, because they always get pictures of you where you seem like you're like the dwarf that like is kind of like the backup dwarf, you know, like you're on the side, you're smoking, you're like,
what is that guy? I don't know that character, but is he pissed?
Because I think he's a little pissed. Yeah, he's an understudy.
He's the understudy dwarf. Okay,
and not dwarf like you're a regular heighted guy, but it's like, and I shouldn't have said dwarf. I shouldn't say anything, but it was like, I don't know. And it's like they only put this chronology out of you that makes you seem like you're kind of bummed.
Well, here's the thing. If the only time, like when somebody's taking a picture of me, I'm bummed because usually I'm with my kids. I'm trying to go somewhere, and then there's four guys who are like, and I'm like, hey man, every time, can you give me some time? I'm trying to be with my kids. Do you mind? Can you know what I mean? So the look on your face is kind of like. And then they go away and not taking the picture. You go inside and you're having a good time. But it's this selective experience of like, take a picture of somebody every time they're feeling irritated. They're going to look irritated.
Especially if you're the one irritating them.
Yeah. It's like, I'll come piss you off and then take your picture and then be like, look how pissed off he is.
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly what that whole system is really.
Right. But it's like useful because that's why, like, you know, I'm sure you've seen on all this stuff like that's kind of the idea is like follow somebody around, antagonize them, and then hopefully they'll have like a nervous breakdown and go crazy on you, and then your video will be worth more money. You know?
Yeah, it's that whole thing gets really Black Mirror-ish, man. You know, it really gets kind of like.
Like I can remember a long time ago, you know. Years and years ago, like I really had a lot of empathy for Britney Spears because I remember that it seemed like it's not somebody that I knew or hung out with, but I just like everybody else. You see all this shit that comes through, but having had my own experiences myself, I knew like these are people who are following her around in a time where she may or may not have been having difficulty. I don't know because I don't know her, but I do know that the cycle of having people harangue you and yell at you and hassle you and follow you, it kind of seemed like that itself was kind of whipping up the whole thing into a tizzy. So
like they're not helping.
Well, yeah, and they're kind of poking a stick at it and going, look at it. And that's where it felt kind of like, that's the first time I thought this is kind of a weird kind of unintentional, I think culturally, but kind of collective cruelty where what's taken out of the image that you see are the people around,
right,
waving the stick at the tiger or poking on it or whatever. And all you see is the growling animal or whatever it is. But like that, a part of that is because somebody's coming around and, hitting on it or whatever to make it get active. And that's where you think, okay, well, this isn't really news. It's not even real. It's not what would be happening if this effect wasn't taking place.
Yeah.
And that's where I thought, okay, the sort of wise thing to do is to just sort of like maintain one's perspective and try to remove yourself a little bit. It doesn't, which is what I would like to do. I think there's this sense that if you see someone's picture all the time, they must want you to be seeing it, right? Which is not the case at all for me. I'm self-conscious. I don't really want you to be seeing that. I don't see any reason for it. As an actor, it's no good for you because I don't really want people, if they watch a movie, to be like, that's not him, because I saw him yesterday eating lunch and I know he's who he really is. It gets in the way of you being able to create like the illusion. It's really hard work to create the illusion that this person, like the character in The Accountant 2, for example, is a real person in a real circumstance. And in order to get the audience to care about it, to laugh, to find it exciting and empathize with the character, they have to suspend disbelief. That's harder if you're constantly being shown something else. So I think it gets in the way. It makes it hard to be an actor. And it's also not good for you. People start to resent you if they see you too much, no matter whether or not you're trying to be seen. No, I don't want to do this. And nonetheless, like I remember 20 years ago going through an experience where it was like, it feels to the world like I'm trying to shove myself in their face. And nobody likes that, right? Nobody wants to be the camera hog, the guy who's trying to
get a bunch new Ben Affleck shoes or whatever.
And I'm like, man, you just leave me alone, and I would be much happier. So in a way, it also can damage your career. Although I think I don't pretend to understand the nuances and of social media and how to manage that as a celebrity, so I don't do it. Some people do it really well, and I think there is a difference now because it's like if you have 100 million followers, that's actually valuable and meaningful in a different way. I'm kind of old school, I guess, in a way of seeing
medium school, I think.
I'm middle school. Yes, exactly. I am a 7th grader.
That's true. Oh, dude, yeah. I don't know if I graduated that one. Some of them they let you skip, I guess, if you're, depending on what county you're in.
Sometimes they hold you back.
Sometimes they hold you back, dude. Bro, the scariest thing was when the dumb bully kid got held back, and you're like,
you had to stick around in your grade, and
dude,
you're
they were
like,
bro, I remember we got word.
The kid's 6'10" and in like 6th grade.
Dude, we got word that Damien had gotten held back, and people were like, oh, hell no, dude. We cannot do Damien again.
Hold me back, too.
We cannot do Damien again. Like, Damien has to go out to pasture wherever they put these kids that leave 6th grade. And they're like, Damien's coming back.
Finish their education at 6th grade.
Yeah. Shut him down, dude. Tase him or something. Put a tire spike when he's leaving out of his driveway in the morning. But Damien cannot come back. But it is interesting, and it is kind of a sickness. I think a lot of people see that stuff as a sickness these days. But I do think it's fascinating about the suspension of disbelief, and that was something that used to be amazing about celebrities is you never got to see them, right? And so you only got to see them, and actors, and you only got to see them on screen and in this way. And so you really envision them that way. I mean, you would almost be shocked if you saw a celebrity in person or an actor in person who didn't like Indiana Jones if he didn't have his hat and whip.
I was just going to say that. Is that when I was a kid, I kind of thought Harrison Ford was that guy. You know what I mean? That's Harrison Ford. I think he's probably the biggest, movie star of my childhood. And whether it was Indiana Jones or Star Wars, he was the guy. And I kind of thought he was that guy. And so it's a little weird to see that guy just in his sneakers and his kind of raincoat walking around Brentwood. It's sort of like, of course it's disappointing or it's disillusioning or something, because you have this thing in your mind that's people went to Steven Spielberg and George Lucas went to a whole, use all their talent, went to a bunch of work to make this dude look like Indiana Jones and Han Solo. And I think what I've seen now is like, I actually don't even want to see like the actors that I really like. I don't want to go on your social because I don't want to know what you had for lunch, because it just makes it harder for me to get into like what you're doing.
I love that. And I think that is a real directorial way to think, I think. I mean, I can see that in your brain. I mean, I'm just a judge. I'm just a guy judging you. They just met in a room somewhere. But I never thought about that's how it is. That, yeah, you want them kind of, Hollywood has almost bitten its own tail in that way, because there's this underlying like valueless current, really, that's kind of like a very cheap currency.
It's Hollywood. It's Hollywood sort of adjacent, which is this side of media culture that profits from and circles, and there's a symbiotic relationship between Hollywood and obviously, like, here I am promoting my movie and running around, and now I don't want to go on like a tabloid and do that or whatever it is, but that becomes part of that culture too. And then you have like any interview show or all these, and you're right, in a sense it is Hollywood, because if you do a movie at Universal, you'll see that person's doing all NBC, Comcast owned, talk shows and appearances, right? Like, it's not a coincidence, because when they do their presentation in the boardroom for Comcast to their shareholders, they go, look, we make these movies, we spend a lot of money, and then we get the stars and we plug them into all of our other shows that we also own. And there's a lot of synergy, so on and so forth. The idea though is like, okay, that's a kind of a tax that you end up sort of paying on your sort of life and the one hand, and on this thing that you're trying to build, which is something that connects with people and moves them, and that they want to go out to a fucking movie theater and pay good money to see. And it makes it a little bit harder than to have to kind of go around and do all that other stuff and be like, okay, well, that's not who I really am, and that's and to try to sort of be interesting and relevant in some other way that isn't really what you kind of even wanted to do. And so you're right. It's sort of part Hollywood and also kind of Hollywood adjacent. It does eat its tail
in a way, because the acting and the creation, it's like looking at the beauty of a lake, right? It's like, this is picturesque, and this is like how they meant the waves to look, and there's a current here, and there's an inflow and outflow, and something landed in the water over here and left a ripple, and something else this is the B story, and there's a ripple. But then it's all this stuff under it, and it's almost starting to like kind of drain its own lake in a way.
It's a good metaphor, yeah, like the movie as the kind of lake, and the underneath of what's both what goes into it and what happens behind the scenes, and also what it takes. Same thing. And it does kind of like, it's interesting, like, if you overtax it, it lowers the lake, and all of a sudden it doesn't look like a beautiful lake. It starts to look like the low country marsh, and it pulls down. You start to see all the little black mud around the edges and the muck, and that's I don't know how to kind of balance that, but as a director, you're right. Like, I would say that's the principal way I've always kind of looked at this stuff. So it used to be that you had an actor and you had people knew less about them. And now a part of even casting for me is, what do people think of and expect this person to do and or be? And how can I have to rely on that and use that, but I also have the opportunity to kind of subvert that in a way. And so you have to be mindful, not just of the story you're telling, but what does the audience bring into the theater with them, or when they turn on television, and expect.
I think that's advanced thinking, to be honest with you. I really do.
It's just learned by lived experience mostly, find out, like, I even often make mistakes, like if I sometimes have found if I sort of, I did a movie where I had like a very blonde wig that was like a medieval.
Were you Ric Flair or something?
I wish I was Ric Flair. That would be spectacular. I'd love to play. It was actually a good movie. I really liked it. It was called The Last Duel. And it's great director Ridley Scott, and he had this idea for it.
Oh yeah, Ridley Scott.
And yeah, there's the thing there you see. And I like if no one had ever seen me or whatever, I thought that was really interesting. The problem is that people, I think what it did,
was Aaron
people
Carter.
Created noise around, look at this hair, is this different? And we know it's a wig.
Right.
And so now you look at it and you go, but I know he doesn't look like that. And so it causes you to kind of think it's false. That's an example of kind of probably not being able to go that far away from myself and still have people go, okay, I can sit aside what I know and just watch this story and like it and believe in it.
Dude, that's fast. That's insider baseball, man. No, I could. It makes total sense. It makes total sense that would start to affect how we see things. You know, there's something that's happening where it's hard to get people to believe in some of these movies, you know, and people's attention spans have changed. It's gotten interesting.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things. The fact that like even the online world, for example, you see now that like shorter and shorter and shorter like clips, or even my son, who's constantly showing me clips of you, by the way. He's always like, you know what I mean? So it's
is he a nice kid?
He's a great kid. Yeah, he's a fabulous kid. And he now when I watch him like scroll, it's like he doesn't even get through the 6 seconds.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's like, you know, and he'll like a long period of time for him is 4 or 5 seconds. And then I'm like, hey man, you know, let's watch this show or watch this movie. And it's like, he gets bored fast. He got to really love something to sit through it. And then he, binges like all the episodes. Like we just sat through like and watched, you know, Invincible, this animated show, you know, and then it's like, let's keep going. And so it's this weird dichotomy of on the one hand, it's like, no. Okay, then plug in and like mainline this one thing and eat it all up till it's gone. And yeah, so it has really changed. You didn't used to be able to like pause and select or even have that much to choose from.
Yeah.
Like that many choices is overwhelming to the mind. Like we weren't made, I don't believe, evolutionarily and as human beings to like, you know, we're supposed to be living in like a village and see about 100 people in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
Right. That's the vast majority of human history. That's how we did it. And I still feel like in a way that's how we're socialized. It's why, for example, if you're feel left out of a group, it's very painful because like in, you know, thousands of years ago, if you got left out of the village, the group, whatever, and they didn't take you to hunt, you died, right?
Oh
you needed
God,
those people
really?
to live. And so
it hits something really
those
limbic
feelings
inside
now, like
of you.
and even social media, for example, you're looking at stuff and you go, damn, why is everybody else's life so good? And seeing the life you're advertising looks so fucking cool. And my inside life feels like shit. That also is like a basic primal thing. And I think that's what, and you know, this stuff kind of touches, but the amount of information now that comes in, because really now everybody's a celebrity, right? Everybody is a celebrity. Everybody is followed. Everybody's life is out there. And
there's newborns. There's 4 months old and 1,100 followers.
And it's really like 1,100 followers is kind of, it's not any different from celebrity. It's just a matter of degree.
But this is a 4 month. He can't even open both of his eyes at the same time.
And it's like, yeah, exactly. And that's kind of become that as the currency of, man, that looks great. You know, that like the currency of like fame in and of itself as a desirable thing. Like people go, man, I want to be rich and famous. Like, take rich.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, famous is not gonna make you happy.
Yeah.
It seems like it will, because it's like, oh, people will like me and know my name and kind of know who I am and I'll feel like I've done something. I think a lot of times what happens is if it doesn't come with a real sense of like achievement or accomplishment, it actually feels hollow and empty and like bullshit and undeserved.
Do you think you wanted to start directing because it gave you even more of a sense of accomplishment?
Yeah, I wanted to.
Is that a weird question? But does that make any sense?
No, it does make sense. I wanted to fail on my own terms, because I had gone through some movies where I was like, I don't like this, I don't agree with this, but you got to do how it's like playing a football team, whatever. You got to run the plays that the coach sets up. You know what I mean? They're gonna run a draw play, get the ball and turn around and run a sweep right because they're not blocking that way. You know what I mean? It's just that's not going to work, right? So that's how that whole art form is sort of structured by and large. And what I found was, I had a real strong sense of the way I wanted to do it. Yeah. And when it didn't work, when it worked, I didn't feel great because it wasn't me that had that feel. I didn't feel like I didn't feel proud of it. And when it didn't work, I just felt pissed off. Like, fuck, I didn't want to fucking do it. God damn, I didn't want to, I said it, I knew it. And that's a terrible feeling. So I'd rather fail on my own terms or succeed on my own terms. And that's where
Fuck
I
yeah,
kind of
man.
got into directing. And I wanted to do it even when I was younger, and I just didn't have the confidence. And at a certain point, I kind of had nothing to lose. And that was really what kind of gave me the courage to take that leap.
In the directing, you mean?
Yeah, because
Okay.
as an actor, I got real cold and like had a couple of movies that didn't work, and then all of a sudden it can be kind of over for you. That's why it's a tough
Really?
business. Fuck yeah, man! Like there's no like seniority, there's no tenure, there's no
a good point. And you don't even
retirement, there's
notice-
no gold watch. If your show doesn't work or your movie doesn't work and nobody wants to hire you, like they're just gonna hire someone else. There's 130,000 people in SAG and there's only 30,000 people that work every year, right? And then there's an even smaller amount of those roles where you have more than 2 lines. So it's very tough, right? And so if you're not, people aren't watching, and they're not coming, or it's not interesting, see you later.
And now it's different because I think the movie theater, it's like, it's a new attack. I think it takes novel thinking these days. I think that movies themselves, long form, I think they're going to have to find some new, unless it is like great or new or so novel, they're going to have to find some new ways to either present it or edit it. I'm not sure what it is, but to me, just as a viewer, it feels like we're in this shift because so quickly have people gotten into these quick moments. And it's not even that their attention span is short, their commitment. It's like they don't want, it's like, I'm not committing
think
to
about
that.
all the other options that you have.
Totally.
Other
You're
shit
sitting there, you have a
to do.
computer, you have
Like
fucking-
when I was a kid and we went out, there wasn't shit else. There was 3 channels of nothing on TV, and it wasn't. And if you didn't go see the movie in the theater, you had to wait, a year for it to come out on like VHS or DVD or whatever it was, or cable. And so you were kind of
rumor. You just had to wait for it to come out in a diorama. Like it was bad.
Exactly. The cave painting and shit. How long is it going to take you to paint this on my cave?
Or a tattoo. A guy came through with a tattoo and it told a story.
The whole thing, yeah. And so you had to like.
It looked like a domestic dispute a lot, but you're like, hey, there's a story for everything. But dude, even like this light, Danny McBride gave me this like a month ago or something. This light, it's like a flashlight or something. Well, this side's just like a flashlight, right? But the other side is like a wiener light. Like you can put like a wiener on something. It has like but I'm just saying, like everything has like 7 things now.
Right.
Ready to win some real cash during the basketball playoffs? Check out Pick 6 from DraftKings. When it comes to basketball payouts, DraftKings Pick 6 posterizes the competition. Hit all your picks and score higher minimum payouts on Pick 6. Plus, even more cash if you outscore the competition. Pick 6 is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. I've had a good experience with Pick 6 from DraftKings. I like to get my picks in there. I like to get Jokic and more than 13 rebounds. And I like to get Anthony Edwards out there and more than 21 points. That's how it is. You pick players and you pick their stats. New players get 50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code Theo. That's code THEO for new customers to play $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Everyone likes a good hack. Like a buy one, get one at the mall, or a combo meal, or even just a nickname. That's Bartholomew there, but we call him Bart. That's a hack. But what if I told you there was a wireless hack? Wireless that lets you live in the know. Well, there is, and it's called Visible. Visible is the ultimate wireless hack. It's unlimited wireless that puts you in control. You get unlimited data and hotspots. You can stay connected on the go. And it's powered by Verizon. Visible runs on Verizon's 5G network. so you get great coverage, fast speeds, seamless connection. Visible also gives you access to 4K streaming. Ready for wireless that lets you live in the know? Make the switch at Visible.com. That's Visible.com. Plans starting at $25 a month. For our best features, get the new Visible Plus Pro plan for $45 a month. Terms apply. See Visible.com for plan features and network management details. But I'm just saying, like, everything has like 7 things now.
Right.
You know?
It's actually like and I think you're
Yeah, you
right.
can put
Like,
like a
if you
wiener
want
in
to get
your
people to
boot.
go to the theaters, movies either got to be really good. Like, you can't just, used to be like, okay, there's going to 3 movies in the theater every weekend. People
Yeah.
are going to go to one of them. Now you got to have a reason to want to go out and see it. And I'm lucky because, the reason why I'm really confident about this movie, The Accountant 2, is it actually plays great. It's a really good movie. People love it. I've been, but I was one where I was like, let's test this movie. Let's take it out there. And I'm like, okay, this movie belongs out there theatrically. And it's still more difficult. In the old days, this movie would have been a home run, easy. Obviously, I'm like, the movie's great. It works great. It's a big smash hit. Now you have to okay, work hard to get it out there because ahead of time you screen it for people, you see what they say, and the reaction's pretty consistent, interestingly.
Right.
So, but now it's like, I think your point about what you have to do, like the Minecraft movie or Barbie, or it almost has to become like a cultural event, like where people are going acting the scenes out. Like there's a whole reason to go do it,
Kind of. Unless I think
or
it's
else
really,
it's really
good.
and that's really what I
And you really
believe
believe in this?
This movie's absolutely. It's
Would you
really
come out
good.
and say it was good if it wasn't?
Not like that.
Yeah.
I would have sort of talk around it or
Right.
talk about, well, there's some things I like about it. But now I wouldn't even want a movie to go out theatrically. I
Yes.
didn't think it was going to work theatrically because I think, there's people that will watch this on streaming because I do think the bar is lower. And I think that different kinds of movies work on streaming and, great movies work on streaming too. But I would say, I would choose to do that. This was one that was supposed to be, it wasn't like we're going to go out theatrically. It was when the movie came together and worked as well as it did, we thought this is definitely a theatrical movie. And I think it's really good. I'm really proud of it. I love it. John Bernthal's great. It's funny.
John
It's better
Bernthal's
than
in
the
it?
first one. Yeah, John
He
Bernthal
was
plays my
in,
brother. He's great.
He's your brother?
Yeah. That's to me, and we're
What
like
the
a
fuck? I
two-hander.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Y'all are brothers?
In the movie, he's not my real brother, but
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Yeah. He's fucking amazing in the movie. And
He plays your. So wait. So who is the accountant? Or you can't
the
tell
accountant,
us.
no, it's me, right? I'm this guy's accountant who's.
Are you a CPA?
I was a CPA, but it's sort of one of these things where it's going to sound a little bit far-fetched when I tell you, but it's actually very which is, we grew up obviously together as we're brothers, and we had this father that was very tough on us, like heavy-duty
movie.
military guy. This is in the first movie, right? When we were kids, you see flashbacks, and he kind of was,
Wait, I've
trained
seen
us.
this movie.
You've seen the first movie, right? This is the second one. You saw the first one, me and John came out like 8 years ago. The
Oh
Accountant?
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the second
This
one.
is the sequel to it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't. Sorry, man.
That's
I
all
didn't
right.
put it together.
But I think this actually, which is rare, and I definitely wouldn't say this if it weren't true, it's better than the first movie. It's funny. It's got more kind of heart. It's more broadly accessible. The action's better, and I really liked the first movie. So,
And you
that's
directed
very
this
rare.
one too?
No, I acted it. Got him. Gavin O'Connor directed this movie. Who's a really good director who directed the first one.
And how do you decide who is a good director? Because you're a good director yourself.
Thank you. But I guess the way you decide that, honestly, is by watching their movies.
Okay.
You look at it and you go kind of, and if it's something that you do, you sort of watch it and you can tell. Even movies where there's instances where it's like might not be my kind of movie, or it might, my taste, but you can still say, okay, well, this is somebody who really understands. This is like a master. Or this is somebody who's very competent. Or it really is to my taste, and I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But it's hard to get good at. So there aren't very many great directors, and that's one of the really tricky things about making movies. This is the third time I've worked with this director, Gavin, and I really like the guy. He did Miracle. He did this movie Warrior.
Warrior
UFC
is
movie,
with the
Joel
boxer?
Edgerton and
Jake Gyllenhaal?
no,
Charlene-
Jake.
Charlamagne
Why am I
tha
forgetting
God,
his
who's
name?
in
The
it?
dude from Venom, Tom Hardy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Joel Edgerton and Nick Nolte.
People love him.
Yeah, and he did Miracle, which is about the Olympic hockey team. And,
Oh yeah, against Canada, America versus Canada, I think, or something.
Russia.
Russia.
right.
Yeah, Russia, the original. Oh no, Russia's like
Russia's
dirty
the-
Canada.
What's right? Exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and that's, no offense to anybody's Russian, but also, it. So it's not like we're keeping secrets from them.
They're advertising that.
So would you go work on it? So if you and John Bernthal, you guys are buddies, you get along well.
I love the guy. Yeah, I knew him. I liked him.
So that makes it
Became
fun.
really close with him on this movie. Yeah, we just hit it off really well. And it's like, I'm sure you experienced this like in your line of work. Like some people you kind of just hit it off with. It works. It's great. Like, oh my God. You don't even know kind of how it happens. And sometimes the chemistry is just not there.
This
you
guy,
know what
Tim
I mean?
Dillon. Have you ever seen Tim Dillon?
No, what about him?
Oh, you just got to watch him, dude. He's so funny. He's just one of the funniest guys they ever made. He just made me think like he's somebody that's really funny.
Right.
Shane Gillis.
Yeah, Shane Gillis is funny. But I mean, but I'm saying like for you personally, right? Like you might find that like you sitting down talking to somebody works, even if somebody's great, they might come in and you guys just don't hit it off or you might be great together. In this case, I really felt like with John, like we got really lucky and we both it's like a two-hander. It's like a kind of odd couple sort of brother because I'm very reserved, very straight. He's very tough and ballsy and so like it, you know what I mean? And so we're kind of opposites, but we love each other, but we're kind of brothers. So we drive each other crazy and we're frustrated with each other. And there's kind of those things really, those kind of relationship dynamics and stories really depend on the chemistry you have. And John's a just amazing actor, but also it was great to work with him. And I love the guy. I respect him. He's a good man. He's a great father. He works hard. He's just everything. I've heard a lot
of neat things about him because he podcasts as well. You know, I think, or he has. He might have to take breaks from it if he's acting a lot. How long are you shooting something like that? And then are there phases during a movie shoot where it's like it starts off, it's like, and you just kind of get burnt out? Like, is there a way to kind of?
Yeah, because the way they set it up is like, and I don't think this is like optimal necessarily, but because of it, how you got to get everybody together and, build the sets and do all this shit and all at once, you end up working like, 14, 16 hour days.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And, there is, it's a function of just some inefficiencies in the way it works. And sometimes just what you have to do. So you're constantly working on sort of all you're thinking about morning, noon, night, and you go home, go to sleep, wake up, go back to work. So you can get burnt out on it, but you can also with Accountant 2, it was like, it started to just work better and better than I thought. And so every day I was thrilled to go to work. You know what I mean? And I found as I get older, I'm like, I want to work with people that I really like.
Yeah.
Because like so much of your life is spent at work. That becomes kind of what, like, obviously, I have my family. That's the number one thing in my life. And I just make the time for that. I have my kids. I'm divorced. I have them, half the time. So I got them half the week. Then I'm like with them. The other part of my life I'm going to spend at work. And so I've realized like, if I want my life to be, if I want to be happy, I got to have fun. Then I want to be working with people that I really like and respect and enjoy being around.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy to choose that. Not everybody can. You get lucky, and so I was really lucky. I love John.
Have you ever made, because David Spade and I wrote a movie that we just shot a couple months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was fascinating. I've just kind of learned about how to do it. Like we've been friends for
How long did you shoot for?
4 years. We shot for 23 days and we got
pretty quick.
It was quick. We got pushed by the fires, so everything kind of got messed up, and we not everything got messed up, but we got like sandwiched into moments where it was like, everybody's here. The winds are 40 miles an hour today. Oh, shit. We have to, we paid for it ourselves. So it was like, we have to do
you find
this.
out when people have your own money on something, all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're going to do this. Like people have a whole different attitude.
Yeah.
That's something I've found.
They're like, oh, we need a Dalmatian. I'm like, we don't have a Dalmatian. We'll fucking shave that sheep and fucking staple some
fucking tattoo some spots on this motherfucker and shoot.
And with removable glue some Oreos to it and get that bastard out there. Teach it to bark. We have 40 minutes. Get on YouTube and teach that thing to bark. Have you ever made a movie that you didn't put out or that wasn't put out?
Oh yeah. Early on, I made a bunch of movies that were like independent movies that they didn't have like distribution. They had like a studio that said, okay, we're paying for this, and when it's finished, we're going to put a bunch of money in advertising because you got to spend a bunch more money to advertise a movie after you make it,
right?
And or at least and that's one of the big things that's changing now. People are like, okay, how can we do this in a more intelligent way? Because all that money spent on television commercials is just wasted now. That's why I'm here. Like this is a much more effective way to do it. You know what I mean? And
yeah, dude, it seems exciting. Well, here's the thing. I think when you tell me that it's good, I honestly think that I believe you that it's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm telling the truth. The movie's really good. I wouldn't be like if you had a movie that wasn't good, you kind of do a few of the basic things, right. And because look, it's going to turn out like it's gonna be a
truth's
bell
gonna
curve
come.
one way or the other. The
Right.
better you are, you're gonna move your bell curve a little bit further down and have a better chunk of movies. But I got about like 12 movies that I really love and I'm proud of, and about 25 that are like, I like this, I didn't like that, and about 10 or 12, whatever, that are like, that's fucking terrible. I hate this. I can't watch it. And it was awful. And when I did independent movies, sometimes they just didn't get distribution. Like no one wanted to put it out, or I went to a film festival. I haven't had movies that were so like just something so terrible happened when the studio already was making it that it wasn't put out. But you have like they changed their plan. You can kind of see, oh, now we're gonna shift to this or that. Now you can put something on streaming, and you don't. It used to be like you were going to go out theatrical, so you kind of were like naked. You just had your, you know what I mean? And if it didn't work, everybody knew because they say, look, this movie made 10 cents this weekend. And, you'd want them to take the fucking billboard down. You drive past the billboard like, the billboard's like, here's the bomb, the movie's a bomb. You know what I mean?
You're up there at night in your Batman costume, just painting over it with a big one of those big paint reachers. Dude, did you ever see Family Man? Did you see that movie?
Yeah.
I love that movie,
funny.
man. That's like one of my, Family Man I liked really a lot. Dunkirk I liked. I thought was
great
cool.
movie. Chris Nolan's a brilliant guy. Tell
Yeah.
me about your movie with David Spade. Who do you play? Like, what is it? Comedy?
Yeah, it's just bus boys. It's like he's like a guy. He's just like we're just two kind of dumb guys or whatever. We just got the first edit through, so it's like I'm watching it right now.
Let me tell you, like that first cut of the movie,
And
like
it's
when I
scary.
see the first cut of my own movie, I want to kill myself.
Really?
So like you should not go crazy seeing the first cut and not like it. I almost have never, like now I have a company and we make a bunch of movies, and the first cut, this is one of the only movies where the first cut came in, I was like, it's great.
Really?
90% of the time you're like, okay, we got a long way to go. It's a very iterative process. They get better, and more work is done after you finish shooting to make it good.
Yeah, that's what
It's
I'm
done
doing.
So what
I'm
I
meeting
would
with
do
an
if I was you
editor
is go
next
in and
week.
sit down
Yeah.
and be like, this is what's supposed to be funny about this scene.
Right.
Like, and explain it to them what you think is funny and is good, because it may seem obvious to you and it probably doesn't to that person. Like you can lose track of it. You go, look, the reason it's funny is because you think we're going to do this. We know this about us from the first, whatever scene. And when it come in, it's that take where I like yelled at the guy. That should be a surprise. Like, you'd be surprised how often it's hard
Man,
to
thank
put
you
a
for
cut.
saying some
Go
of this,
in
dude. Yeah,
and
it's
tell
been
them.
tough because I've been spending my nights like watch, and now I'm.
It feels shitty too to put all that work into it and look at it and go, what the fuck is this?
Oh,
right? It's
dude.
the worst feeling in the world.
It feels fucking horrible because it's like I'm very particular about like what I create. Like you said in the beginning, it's like I like to make things. I know what I want. It's like I know my intuition, and if I fail on my intuition, then that's exactly where I want to fail because that's pure to me, right? Like that's okay.
Yeah, and like that's what you want to do. Great,
Right.
But it's a very tricky thing for other people to
know
like
that.
get you,
Yes.
and to know. You know what I mean? Your
That's been
sense
my
of humor,
problem my
your
whole life.
worldview is all obvious to you, right?
Yeah.
But it's just not to people. So a lot of times you have to spend more time than you would have thought, literally going, here's what should be funny. Right. If you can explain the joke, like you're a super funny guy, funny comedian, you understand comedy very well. So you can sit and break it down to him and go like, you got to know this about it. What's funny is that, we didn't expect me to do this.
Right.
Or that's a callback to this other moment. Or the whole thing that when I did it, what I thought was funny is this take where I did that. Like, because on the set, I'm sure, if you're doing a comedy and you shot it, you had moments where you were like, that's funny, right? I think that's funny. I think that's good.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's literally about going back into the dailies and saying, like, okay, go find the close-up or find this 2-shot. Or the thing where I said to David, and David looked at me like this and whatever. That was the
That's
one where
what
I
I wanna
left
do.
and thought,
Yeah.
that works. Like, there's no mystery or magic to why they're doing it a different way. They oftentimes just need feedback. This is not like sculpting or writing a novel. It's not a single person, it's collaborative. It has to be collaborative, right? If I'm directing a movie with you in it, and it obviously is going to have your comic sensibility, like, I got to know and get what's funny to you, or I'm not the guy.
Right.
And I'm going to need help along the way. Any director is going like, so how come, what do you imagine about this? Or what do you think, you know what I mean? Like, that's why you have to explain it and sort of talk about it, because that person's got to understand all those things that made you be funny in the first place and start going, oh, people are laughing when I say, oh, these are funny. You know what I mean? And you've put it together and professionalized it. But like, you got to share that with them. Otherwise, really. And then this is also where people sometimes get into fights, of course, because people's ego gets in the way. But ego will kill you. You have to be able to hear, I don't care what you do. You have to be able to hear like, this doesn't work. This is dog shit. Because the audience will tell you. You know what I mean?
Right, that's the thing. And it's like, I'm not particular, but I just know what kind of has worked,
That's valuable because not everybody does. So what you have, right, is that awareness. You don't think about it. You feel it, right? You're like, that
Right.
feels funny. Or when you see something, you're like, that feels wrong. Like makes you uncomfortable, right? You see,
Yeah.
So that is a thing that's unique to you, right? So you need to like give them access to that and get it. And when and if somebody's going to like take it personal, it's not personal. Like it's your, and what David thought was funny, like, okay, like you have to be connected in that way and you have to understand that it's not about like, okay, fuck you guys. Now I'm going to go make my vision of this thing.
No.
That's a disaster.
No. I just think like, yeah, like this is why this was written this way and this is why it's funny. And so this is the first time that we're like more hands-on with it.
Well, then you should definitely be hands-on because, by the way, no one's going to do it for you.
Right. Oh,
You
I
want it
agree
to
with
get
that
better
too.
on its own, man. It's going to get better if you get in and work on it. And by the way, you're going to see it again and you're going to have to go, okay, closer. Now let's try this. Let's try that. And then again, the way movies like get better really is iterative. It's like coats of paint. You know what I mean? You got to keep on going. It's like a good paint job on a car. It's like 12 coats of paint. That's why it looks good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
Do movies take a long time to edit sometimes?
yeah, 26 weeks is the post-production schedule for most movies, right? That includes music
half
and
of
sound
1 year.
mixing. Yeah. And it's longer than the production schedule. You're trying to grab everything you can during production. It's more expensive every day to shoot. Editing is you rent the editing room, the facilities.
We
but
needed
it's not
an
as
owl
expensive.
one day. We had an owl, right? This bitch, it was $1,100 an hour.
For an owl?
Yeah, it was like a semi-endangered. I don't want to say endangered or whatever, but it was like
Do they charge more if it's like, you know what I mean? Like if you can get a chicken, they're not in danger. You can kill that shit, just cut its head off. That's $10.
Like,
but
hey,
for the owl,
you can get a tall chicken.
no one's going to know the difference. You can take the chicken, break its neck, and it's turned around.
You can get a tall, curious chicken. We'll give you that.
And so I think maybe that's just like one of those things where it's like, what's the rate for owls? You just get to make it up if you sell owls.
It's just it's like, God, you get into there and there's just all this animal entrapment. What else was I thinking about? Would you let your children well, I want to talk to you a little bit more about directing. So, because Argo you directed, right? And did you care about the Middle East that much? Were you like a Middle East guy? I knew I've read some of
not really. I did study the Middle East in school, and so I understood about it. I wouldn't make a movie that I didn't. It'd be like making a movie with you and not getting your humor, right? Like it would just be crazy. Like as the director, you got to care more, be more interested in that movie than everybody else. Everyone else is going to be bored of it, right? And you got to love it the whole time through. So the big key is like, this is going to be interesting to me. There was a lot of things that were interesting to me about that movie. One was the real story, the CIA agent who had done it, the guy, the people that I met and talked to at the CIA, the actual nature of like intelligence work versus, what you had seen with like super spy shit. That's not really realistic. And this story was really interesting to me. And also I thought it was like the fact that they had this like bizarre connection to Hollywood and this Hollywood makeup artist and that we were trying to bridge those two worlds was really interesting to me. But it was a scary, challenging movie because the director's main job is tone. Right, like that's the main. That's what the director is going to really create is like, what's the tone of this? Like, what's the vibe? Is this serious? What are we interested in? Like, what do we consider funny? What do we, all those things that go into all the choices we make in life, from the car you get, the clothes you buy, all that. What is your taste? And not everyone's going to like it, right? Some people, it's just not going to be their taste. You got to at least make it as good as you can to your own taste, to, like you said, your own instincts.
Yeah, you got to find that tone that matches, because people want to believe they're going to expect a certain tone from you as well. I think
Yeah, and when
They're
you
gonna
don't,
expect
when that
something
tone
that's
doesn't
true.
work, you're like, this is kind of crass, this cheese is fucking, you know what I mean, corny. It's like it seems silly or whatever, and it's like because you're asking someone to take something seriously that they can't take seriously, or think is funny that they don't think is funny, and that's where it's a tricky kind of nebulous job, but that's the most interesting to me, important thing about it, and that's would
you let your children act, do you think?
Well, I wouldn't let them act professionally while they were children, no. But I would let, if they want to do plays and shit and make their own kind of stuff with their friends, that's fine with me. I don't think it would be, I don't know judgment against people that do it. I've done playing movies with, child actors and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And that's fine. From my experience, acting as a kid and what I want for my children is not that. But also you got to understand that then I got a 19-year-old, I got one 16, I got one 13.
Oh, wow.
They can make their own choices.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true, right? As a dad, you just like, is that got to be tough when you're a dad. Like, you kind of have already lived some life, so you were like, and not even about acting, it's about anything. And then your kid is kind of like making it like, is that, and you don't want to like probably push them too much, or like, because then you're pressuresome, dude, that's got to be a real, like walking a police line or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole job of life. It's like for me, before I had kids, you know, I didn't really realize what my life was about. And then this becomes the central challenge of your life. And if you have everybody has complications and tricky shit in their life. And that's part of being a parent, is managing that with what kind of life am I bringing my kids into, making a good life for my children. How do, you know, and that's part of that is my kids are growing up out here in LA. I didn't grow up in LA. I never met a famous person or an actor or anything. That shit just seemed like a million miles away to me and totally
for sure. If you're in the rest of the world, it feels so far away. And then you forget after you're here for a while how far away it seems to other people. Like, if you meet, you know, like just anybody who was in, and it just like, that's like, it was a.
Dude, I remember I was 12 years old in Boston, and I saw Christopher Lloyd, who played the dude on Back to the Future, you know? And I saw him walking down the street. I think he was doing a play. Yeah, exactly. I followed the guy for like 6 blocks. Like now I'd be like, there's this fucking 12-year-old kid following me, right? You know what I mean? Like I stalked him. Like I couldn't believe it that it was the guy from Back to the Future. I lost my mind. And it was the only, you know, celebrity, famous, whatever person I'd ever seen or know. And so my kids are now, they're seeing different stuff. Some of it's useful for them because it disabuses them of some illusions that I think are worth being disabused of. And also, but I'm also like, I don't, look, they're going to, their kids are going to kind of be and do who they are, what they want to do, which your job is to let them know that they're loved, that keep them safe, you know, provide them opportunities, and also not, you know, you got to resist the temptation to try to get everything out of the way for them, because you're not going to learn anything or develop any grit or resilience if shit's just easy.
Yeah, that's crazy. I never even thought about that. It's like you're watching them walk and there's something kind of in their path. And if you take it away completely, then they're not going to learn how to deal with an obstacle. Yeah. But if you leave it there, then you're going to have to watch them go through an obstacle. That's got to be crazy.
It's hard watching your kids, like even trying to climb over something. Your instinct is to pick them up, take them over. But you have to, like, yes, you don't want them to put their finger in a socket, you know what I mean, or off a cliff. But that doesn't mean life has to be hard. Yeah. It has to be difficult in some ways. It doesn't have to be, shouldn't be traumatic, shouldn't be, you know, awful or painful, but things have to be hard for you to learn to do hard things. Yeah. And this world, like it or not, is going to demand that you do hard shit. If you want to have anything, you know, if you want to be able to provide for your own family, have your own dreams, have, you know, the things that you want to have, because if you don't do it, the guy next to you is going to do it better, or, you know, or the woman over here is going to do it better, and you're going to lose out. Yeah. And also, you know, I don't want my kids to have that first big, tough experience in life and like kind of fall apart. You know, you got it. Like some of the best lessons I ever learned in life were from failure. In fact, for sure, I didn't learn much from success. I learned a lot from failure. You know what I mean? But the most important thing you learn is that you can survive it. You can be okay. Yeah. It can knock you the fuck down. And you know, it's like getting, like when I was a kid where I grew up, I mean, we used to get in fights all the time. Fight all the time,
dude. People
and you found out that
beat the shit out of me.
You get punched in the face, you get your ass kicked, and that's not. And you'd be like, "Yeah, he kicked your ass," and you go like, and you get up and you come to school the next day, and you know what I mean. It's kind of like
a tough day, dude. That first day was so tough.
Yeah,
you're like, damn, Randy kicked
I know.
Your ass.
It's worse that you have to hear about it than like just getting hit 5 times. It's like, yeah, you kind of get your bell rung, you know what I mean? But it's the like, that's kind of going back to that thing about like embarrassment. Like kids will suffer more from being humiliated than physically hurt. For example, like that's the shit that really is painful. But no, I don't wish to be clear that on my kid. Like you don't need to be fighting and shit all the time. No. But it's, you know, it is valuable to know that you can fail or have something difficult happen, really painful, or get your heart broken. Have some girl be like, I don't like, you know what I mean, embarrass you, whatever.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay. These things are not going to kill you. And in fact, they actually do make you stronger if you kind of go like, okay, that was tough. If I didn't have some of the resilience that I picked up by my early life trying to, see, I would have just kind of given up or collapsed or had movies are bad. People say bad shit. I'd be like, and I'd fall down and never get up again.
Yeah, you'd have no experience, and it sharpens your intuition. You start to, it all learns. It is, if you can see yourself as a tool. Sometimes it's definitely harder when you're younger because some of those feelings are new and it hurts so much,
Here's the thing, getting better at anything really never feels good. Like if you're building resilience, it's not a time that you're liking. You know what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't feel good. Like, so that's what, okay, I don't like this. This feels like shit, but because it's hard, because I can't lift these weights anymore, because I can't, these other, I'm exhausted and the other kids are still, running sprints or whatever, but like those are the moments, for what it's worth, where you're getting better.
What's something that you admire about each of your children, just so one day they can look back and is that uncomfortable?
I mean, the thing that I care most about, and it's true of all three of my kids, is that all of them have like an innate like goodness of character, like a kindness. They're not trying to go out and hurt other people. They have empathy. Like they care about and respect other people. Doesn't mean, that obviously they don't make mistakes or they're perfect or whatever. But basic thing about them is really, really important. I think it's definitely also credit to their mom, who's amazing and who's spectacular and is great. Like, we're divorced, but we I think do pretty good together, raising the kids, going back and forth and all that stuff. And they're all, look, I think, like any parent, you're going to be like, my kid's so cool. And
I love like something you admire, like individually about them that's maybe unique. And
I think my oldest kid,
I'm not trying to.
No, not at all. Listen, okay. I think truly, there's so much that I just don't want to come off. And I know my kids will be like, Dad, don't fucking go on there and talk about me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so my son
fair.
especially is like, dude, he's right now watching this like, oh, no. But here's the truth. My oldest one has got a beautiful like commitment and sense of like wanting to make the world truly a better place. And she'll put her money where her mouth is. Like she don't want to do something she's not asking other people to do. She makes personal sacrifice. She has that kind of integrity. My middle child is really is this incredible, like, feels things deeply, like artist, kind of is brilliant and so funny. And my son has got like this incredible like joy of life and magnetism and sweetness and goodness to him. And like that's the stuff where it's like, whether you can like dunk a basketball or write a great paper, like great. And I'm not, but like that's the shit that to me is more important, that like kind of internal character stuff.
Yeah, that's cool, dude. That's nice, man. Yeah, it's nice to hear dads talk about their kids, I think sometimes you just don't hear it enough sometimes,
I agree. I think it's so important. Like,
oh,
it's
yeah.
the most important thing in the world.
There's not as many male leaders, there's not as many male teachers as there were. There's not as many, like there's a space where we're missing a gap of mentorship from male to male, because a lot of people, some people were pedophiles, whatever, but outside of those people, it's like there's not as many.
Let's rule those fuckers out.
Yeah, right? Those guys are out. Well, also, anybody paparazzi who's driving around taking pictures of kids, anybody else would be arrested for taking a photo of a kid in public.
Yeah. But and I think absolutely boys need
yeah,
important male
mentors.
leaders, and so do girls. Like, you need to see that there's good men. You need to understand that good men are accountable. They tell the truth. They can say they're sorry when they make a mistake. They're strong. You can rely on them. They're funny, like that. They can show you strength and love and all this stuff that is good and beautiful, and the people you want to be drawn to in your future life about masculinity. You want to know and see that modeled. And if you don't, first of all, there are children who are expecting, because we're as children expecting to have that.
It's important.
If you don't, it fucks you up. And if you don't see what that looks like, you don't know kind of what to look for.
Oh, yeah, dude. Did you have do you have a memory of your dad that was like fun for you? I'm trying to think of one. My dad was like, my dad was really old when I was born. And so my dad was 70 when I was born, right? He was born in 1910.
Dad was a serious guy.
Yeah, I wish he had some money, which was crazy, because usually if a woman's hooking up with an older guy, he's got some money.
What did your dad have going for him?
It was not money.
Was it money? He must have been charming.
He didn't have a bank. He was very charming. My dad was very, very charming. But he would like take me to the he would like go sometimes have a beer by like this bar at the railroad tracks, and he would like let me walk on the bar. He'd like, and they had like these little bowl of chocolates, or whatever. And if the bartender, I remember if I danced good, she would like give me some of the chocolates or whatever, and he'd be like, "Go wiggle for chocolates" or whatever. And I remember, so I just remember, I think
You like when my dad pimped me out. That was a good time.
well, he was just pimping me for confections, or sugars, It was kind of an outtake from that movie Chocolate, if you've ever seen that. But yeah, he would be like, "Go wiggle for chocolates," and I just remember that was one thing that I remember. Anyway, sorry, I made that about me.
It was nice to take that walk down memory lane.
Yeah,
with
it's
you. I
fun.
enjoyed it.
Well, there's things I remember about it, like the bowls of peanuts and just like being at a bar like at like 5 p.m. because my dad was older. He would go to rest. He would rest pretty early, but
I remember that's funny because I was going to say, I don't have that kind of memories of my dad really, but the truth is, like, after he got out of the house, as a kid, he worked at bars, and so that's where I go see him, up at the bars, and he was like a bookie, and taking bets on the side.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a little bit, and he was, but that's what he did. He was bartender, and then for that period of life when I was kind of 8, 9, 10, 11,
did they have a
12,
jukebox
whatever.
in there or anything?
They had jukebox, and then he'd be like, "Oh, go get the cigarette machine." And I went in the bar, and it was cool to visit him in there.
Remember the cigarette machine? They had that pull
Yeah,
out
you could
thing?
pull on them.
Yeah.
And but that was the days when they'd be like, tell you the kid, that go to the store and get me some cigarettes. You walk in 8 years old, buy cigarettes. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also me and my brother would go up to the bar. And there was some, I do have some kind of fond memories of that. I wish I had more of them, which is one of the reasons why it's important for me in my life to make sure I don't that I create those for my own children.
Yeah, I think that's something that we probably learn, I think, as we go along. I want to tell you about True Classic. God, you want to feel good? You want to feel something good on your body and look good to people? True Classic, the official basics wear partner of the UFC, has one mission: to make sure guys look good and feel even better. They've nailed fit, feel, and price across your entire wardrobe. Not just tees, but hoodies, jeans, gym gear, everything you need to level up your everyday style. I've been wearing True Classics and I enjoy them. From the first piece I put on, I said, okay, daddy's home. I knew it was different. Snug where you want it, relaxed where you need it. No weird bunching, no awkward tight spots. Forget overpriced designer nonsense. Skip the cheap throwaways. True Classic delivers premium essentials built for real life. Grab yours at Target or Costco, or head to trueclassic.com/THEO to get hooked up today. That's trueclassic.com/Theo. I am excited actually to get a hold of Nutrafol. That's something I've got coming in the mail to me, because I've still got enough hair to need a cut, and I want to keep it that way. I want to keep it healthy. Nutrafol Men, that's who I ordered from. You may have heard of Nutrafol's hair growth supplements and wondered, do they actually work? Well, it's a fair question. Many hair supplements overpromise and underdeliver, but Nutrafol is different. As the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, it's trusted by over 1.5 million people, and is clinically tested to deliver real results in just 3 to 6 months. Nutrafol Men is clinically proven to improve hair growth and quality. Plus, men also reported no impact to sexual performance. Start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men and enter the promo code Theo. Find out why Nutrafol is the leading hair growth supplement brand on the market at Nutrafol.com/men, spelled Nutrafol.com/men, promo code Theo. That's Nutrafol.com/men, promo code Theo. What else is something I want to ask you about? Was it weird? Were you famous before your brother was famous? Is that a weird question?
Not at all. I guess, yeah, a little bit, like in the sense that he was in Good Will Hunting with me and Matt, and he was fucking brilliant in it. And then, but you know, like anybody, like, and Matt's like, who's like, you know, my best friend as a kid, stuff like Matt Damon, you know, you had like, and he got more famous of Good One Thing. And then my brother, you know, so you kind of, and you know, people, if you really like, try to map it out, like those sort of how famous are, which is kind of a weird and a hard thing to tell.
I agree.
It kind of moves around, but my brother was always a working actor, and then he became, you know, he really established, of course, won the Oscar for acting, and kind of established himself just as a great actor, and
What's the one
had a
they did
more
in-
steady kind of
in
arc.
Pittsburgh, remember with Michelle?
You're talking about
Yeah,
Manchester by the Sea. Yeah, that's what he won the Oscar for. He's
It was?
amazing in that movie. Yeah.
God, it was so good. Is it? Yeah, I just always
He's a great actor, my brother.
Is it? Yeah. Are you guys pretty close?
We are, you know, we're close. He's got great kids. I love his kids, and he's a great guy. And you know, you know.
I guess you get through phases in life too, where you're kind of like people are you're kind of doing the same thing, or you're just in different spaces.
Well, that's what happens when you kind of really like get a little older, and then we were like, it was up to 30 or whatever. I was just like hanging out with guys all the time. You know what I mean? We were going out, we're doing this or whatever, and that was kind of life, most of it. And so you see all your friends all the time. And my brother was one of the, you know, we'd all hang out, and then you have kids, you have family, and then it's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna have Friday at 5 or whatever from 7 or and then you kind of have to, you lose a little bit of that bigger network of like who are the, like, I know who 10 of these guys are, who are the other 6, you know, that starts to kind of go away, and you kind of have to be more selective. But you know, my brother's is a brilliant, funny, amazing guy, and his kids are, it's a joy to see his kids grow up and be, you know.
Yeah, being an uncle's fun.
Oh, it's the best. Because then you don't really, you can kind of just like let them do shit. You know, you don't have to be really the dad.
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you this. So there was, I live in Nashville, so I moved there about 4 years ago, and there was, so the other night there's like tornadoes or something, and I didn't know, like, and I live in like, it's a nice neighborhood, but it's nothing crazy. It's not like rich enough where you're away from tornadoes, you know?
You better be pretty, how rich you have to be to get away from tornadoes?
I don't know. I'm still in the wind district, you know? So there's a freaking tornado warning. There's sirens going off over town. I didn't even know we had sirens. So I'm texting my nephew. Thank God I called him twice. And then finally I texted him. I was like, dude, I was like, bro, tornado warning. What do I do? And he's in middle school or whatever. And thank God he's like, get under your desk. That's what he fucking says at 4 a.m. And I was like, dude, I don't have a fucking desk. You know what I'm saying? And he goes, don't curse at me over text. And I'm like, this fucking kid does not know how to support a family member. It's just like,
that's what he's, that's hilarious.
Anyway, I don't even know what I told you that story about. What were we talking about? Weather?
I don't know, but I'm like,
family members.
Oh, yeah.
And what it's like to be an uncle.
Yeah.
I get to see my nieces, and they're coming for Easter tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, being an uncle is so
how
much
many
fun.
like nieces and nephews you got?
I got 5 total. One of them just went to prom, so I got to be there when she took pictures. I was in Baton Rouge for that.
Oh, that's great.
It's fun, yeah. And you kind of get to be like a little bit of the confidant, like you're kind of like on the edge of dad.
Because they'll tell you stuff that's kind of like, you can't talk to your parents about like whatever, you know, something, but you can kind of let, you know, the uncle kind of know, and so you can be kind of on the side a little bit, a little cooler, even if you're really not that much cooler. And they're like, oh, fucking don't try to play it off like that. But you kind of get away with it a little bit, and you know, you got to like, you can't push it, you know what I mean?
Right,
But it's like,
and you got to know when to snitch too on him too, and tell the dad what's going on.
Exactly.
Did you let me think about a movie thing. Oh, did you get to keep your Batman outfit?
I did. Yeah, I did. In fact, it's at our office, and it's one of those things people like. It's like it's one of those things that sort of like, I don't know. People like to see it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like Planet Hollywood a little bit. So I'm always like, oh, that's rubber suit here. It's just, but it's like, I don't know. It's hard to tell. Like, look, I get it. That's a kind of a cool movie souvenir. Sometimes I feel like if you put a grapefruit on like TV every week, you know what I mean? And then you just put it to the mall, people will go by and be like, oh, there's that grapefruit from TV. You know what I mean? So it's sometimes hard to tell whether something's interesting because it's interesting or because, but I can see how that is kind of interesting. The most interesting thing about it when people see it is like, damn, how do you wear this? And it's true. It is like, of all those type of roles and stuff, like the superhero thing, the outfits make it a lot harder to do your job because you're kind of constrained and they're real hot. It's like, you know, when like wrestlers, like when I was a kid, used to run around with like trash bags to lose weight because you just dump all the water. You know what I mean? Like that's sort of what those outfits do.
Oh yeah, you'd see like some guy that's with his you'd see some guy in your neighborhood who's on the wrestling team or whatever. I knew they
wrestlers, yeah,
had
exactly.
a wrestling team, and then he's running down the street
right
like a California
trying
raisin.
to lose, yeah, exactly, 15 pounds in 10 minutes. You know what I mean?
He's just spitting on his family members, and he's just cursing because they say cursing helps you burn calories or whatever. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. But you never like put it back on for anything fun or to surprise family members?
I did it for my kid's birthday when he was my son's birthday, and he was a little young, but it was fun. I got the pictures now. Now he's like, I guess that was cool that you did that. At the time, I didn't know what the fuck you were doing, and I'm like, but it was cool though. Do I get credit for it now? He's like, I guess. He
That's
barely,
dope.
but I had fun, and that was the whole reason I did it. Like, I want to be Batman. My son, like, how cool is it? Your dad's Batman. My son was like, 3 and shit, and so he was like scared of the movie. But since then it's like it's become kind of, in retrospect, I think kind of cool. It's hard to tell what your kids think is cool because most of the time they're kind of like,
Yeah, they don't really tell you kind of because it's almost like you're like. Yeah, I don't know. I just watched my brother have nephews. Like, I want to get a wife and children. I don't have a wife yet, but
Look, your parents are never going to be like, because like part of the thing is like, you can't like, you need to separate from your parents, right? You need to like move away, get out of the house, that whole thing, like move on, become your own man and all that stuff. And if you're too wrapped up in like your folks and, you can, it gets in the way of that.
Right,
You know what I mean?
you got to start to slowly separate in those ways that kids do.
So there's part of it where they're like, and it comes off like, where I'm like, hey, you guys want to play some games? They're like, close the door.
Yeah.
Get out of my room. Close the door. I'm like, just leave. You know what I mean? All right.
And then there's that moment. It's the first time you kind of close the door, and there's that moment where the dad's just by the door and he's kind of sad,
like,
but he's in the hall. But then he goes in his room. He takes 3 steps and he's like, "Oh, good, I got some free time."
Actually,
But there is that moment.
it is, yeah, absolutely. And they come back around. You know what I mean?
Do you think I auditioned for a Project Greenlight movie that you guys had years ago?
Really?
Yeah, it was one where there was like a guy in a wheelchair, and there were like dangerous people were coming in, like you were trapped in a bar or something.
Feast, maybe the horror movie. Yeah.
I just remembered that. That's
You
crazy.
auditioned for it? Really?
Yeah. Oh, I was not any
That's
good.
wild.
I'm not a good I would not. I think it's a bad idea to do that. I just. But anyway, I just remember that it popped in my head. Do you still have Project Greenlight?
It's no, it's not. I mean, it's not currently. We did it with the company we haven't, but we are not doing it now. And we took it. We had it on for a while back then, and then brought it back. And it's interesting. I really liked it, and I thought it was interesting that like because that's what I do, and I know that's tricky. Like it's hard. You get all this drama that comes up on a movie, but when we had like $1 million to make the movie, and everybody like $1 million, like. That's like nothing. And now it's almost setting people up. It would kind of just be like, then you'd just be doing a show about people getting in arguments and smashing things and having a breakdown because you can't really even do it for $1 million.
Yeah,
like
times have changed.
Unions and wages and all that stuff. Like but I really liked that idea of that show and what we were able, because to me it was about like, also creating opportunities for people that are
that's what it felt
outside
like.
Hollywood,
Oh, that's what it felt
who
like.
could come in and be like, look, I know what I'm doing. I want to do something. And then you got to like, okay, well, let's see what you can do.
What do you think Tom Brady's good as an announcer?
Yeah, I think Tom's good as an announcer. I think he's, look.
Me too, dude.
I think he's really smart, obviously, about football. I think that like it's a people kind of, when you're the greatest quarterback who ever lived, they think, well, okay, now he's going to come in and change broadcasting for good, and like just being a normal human being seems kind of like. I mean, who do you want to listen to analyze something? Like, if I want to like somebody tell me about like a concert, like I want to hear from some great musician. If you figure, well, nobody's going to have better or wiser analysis than Tom. It's maybe not about like telling jokes or whatever. That's something different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so.
But he's a surgeon. He seems like a surgeon when he's talking about it, and the way he breaks down certain moments and how long it takes to do certain things. He's like, well, they got about this many yards. They're gonna have to move about this many yards a second. Like he's definitely. You start to see who he really is.
Like how much analysis went into that. I still think one of his like real. Like one of the things that really separated him, because everybody knows about how like he was like drafted late and all this stuff, like, and his like combine numbers weren't like all that stuff. People weren't just like, this guy's gonna be amazing. I feel like one of the things that he has that people don't really talk about is like, and this is so fucking important, is like, I feel like he has this thing where he doesn't get tight. He just doesn't get nervous. Like, I think that there is a huge advantage. Imagine like you're in the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, 4th and 8 and you got, 7
you don't
seconds
get
or whatever.
nervous,
And
you
you're
win.
You're good. Everyone else's heart rate is banging their head. Adrenaline's
I think it's what makes actors good too. Good actors at certain moments.
Getting relaxed, the ability to relax in tense situations where other people get tense, because tension and stress, it locks you up. You panic. It's like everything. It's all bad.
Oh,
right?
it's horrible. That's when, dude, it's definitely, there's moments. The first time I'd ever audition, I was like, open the windows. And like, there's not a lot of windows in here. And they're like, they're already open. I remember I kept blacking out. And then I had to like do some scene that I didn't even care about. What are we doing here? Why are we doing that? I'm sorry. That was not a plan. Oh yeah, dude, I want to tell you about, you ever see that Dunkin' Donuts commercial? Because I know you did a commercial with them.
Yeah.
You ever see the one where they shut down that one and is it Sheboyk?
What is it? Play it.
Shamokin.
Duncan's closed by
My
5.
favorite, dude.
A coffee shop in Shamokin is closed following an arson over the weekend. Police say a teenager is responsible for all that damage. News Watch 16's Nikki Kreiz joins us live from the Central Pennsylvania newsroom with more tonight. Nikki?
Julie, a lot of people in Shamokin are upset that Dunkin' Donuts is closed because they didn't have anywhere else to go for coffee and donuts. Today we also learned new information about the teenage girl police charged with setting the place on fire. Setting the fire is currently at a juvenile detention center. Many people who live in Shamokin are upset that Dunkin' Donuts is closed.
Now I have to rely on myself to go to maybe a Turkey Hill or something where I don't like their donuts. I rather the donuts at Dunkin' Donuts. And I'm kind of dealing with it, but I really miss Dunkin' Donuts.
I go there every day. I get a chicken bacon croissant, or I get some coffee, Powerade if I'm dehydrated. I sit there all the time. If I have any legal work that I need to do, I go there. I meet with my attorneys there.
I'm gonna miss that place when it don't open up. Yeah, a lot of my friends go in there, get the cold coffee, iced coffee, I guess it's called.
People miss their local hangout and hope Dunkin' Donuts
Anyway, that's just
reopens
it. That when that one closed down, man, it was just like a real. People kind of went bananas on the internet.
Because it turns out, guys, that's the legal clinic got shut down too. Guys, my man was
like sit there with my
legal work. My probation officer meets me in there. I usually deal out of that place. I'm like, all right,
yeah. You don't know when a Dunkin' Donuts closes down. You don't realize how many lives intersect in that one place.
The whole community is paralyzed. Yeah.
What's something else that you want to direct, man? Is there something? What about you directing Timothy Chalamet? That'd be so dope.
Oh, he's a terrific actor, man. He's great. And I think, and that's really what you kind of like, no matter what you do, a big part of it is, 90% of it is they say, is like picking the right actors. Because there's really nothing you can do. You're kind of like, okay, now go ahead, and you can, get about 10% calibration, but the right people for the right role is so much a part of what goes into directing. It's what I was talking about, like kind of understanding what people sort of think about or assumptions they have about actors that they are going to watch. There's a lot of actors that I would love to work with. I haven't worked with. I'm lucky to have worked with some great ones so far. And I have a movie that I've just finished shooting called Animals. That's
it's your own movie.
Be out on Netflix that I directed.
Let's go. Congrats, dude.
Yeah, and I may even direct another movie next year, which is actually pretty quick. But it's not all set up yet. But it's something that I really love doing, and I will do it especially as I got one kid that's in college now, and the other two, by the time my son who's 13 goes to college, then I plan on kind of just directing all the time. But like I said, it takes so much focus and energy that one of the regrets I have even about movies that I really like and I'm proud of is what periods of time that I miss with my kids, because that just doesn't come back.
So you almost have to plan ahead, okay, maybe they're going to be on a semester abroad, or this is going to be going on. Or
this last one, I do them in LA, you know what I mean? So I'm not traveling, so I can be home for dinner and come, and just make that the priority. But it's a part of why I slow down a bunch from directing, because it just, in order to do it in a way that I understood that it required, it just requires almost intense. Total commitment and concentration.
Yeah, man, because we got to keep telling good stories, because it's important. That's how people learn things, and that's how you remember things, and they become part of history. They really kind of tell history a lot of times. Yeah, it's definitely interesting about. Oh, you said something about Oh yeah, the shooting in Hollywood has become so tough, huh? But it's supposed to be getting easier.
Well, it's tricky because what happened. One of the things that's happened is that, like, first of all, movies just used to be made here. Like, country music was made in Nashville,
everywhere.
Right? Like that's how it was. And then you had other states and countries that started kind of offering incentives because they felt like, if we bring this business here and like it stimulates all our other businesses, because there's this huge kind of trickle down effect from the restaurants to dry cleaners to drivers to blah 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 blah, all this money into the economy. And LA or California didn't really, I think, whatever, I'm not sure they didn't respond or try to compete. They have a small incentive now, and they've actually broadened it some, and I think they're aware of it, but it's tricky. Whereas other states, and they're kind of controversial. Some states have felt like they worked out for them and they're happy. Georgia's got a huge incentive program. They get a lot of Marvel movies shoot down there. I got a place in Georgia, and I filmed in Georgia. It's in fact, The Count we filmed in Georgia, and that's why, right? They start offering these incentives. Obviously, been successful for Georgia.
It's like California has ego about it in some weird way. It's hard to figure out.
Yeah, I don't really know enough about the politics of it to know. It seems to me like, I think it's like, well, we've always had it here. We don't have to give the incentives. Like that's what's pulling people away.
But it's like at a certain point you have to.
But now everybody's moved and moving away and moving around. And if you can't make a movie without the crew is what's going to make or break your movie.
Now you have 3,000 people flying to like Tibet or whatever to shoot for,
Like the UK, they do these big reunions. So it's like
Louisiana did it for
Harry
a long
Potter
time.
movies and all the like DC movies, all these. This stuff goes and shoots like out of the country. Look, I obviously selfishly like this is where my kids are, so this is where I want to be. But also, the best technicians I believe in the world by and large are here, and they're really artists too, and
they're ready to work too. A lot of them they've
dying
been
to
waiting.
work. And look, you have these fires and all this stuff. It's like, but look, it's hard all over, and I get it. I don't begrudge anybody anything. I would like to preserve, like, look, it's a big business for this country, right? Like show business. This is something that we make that everybody buys all over the world.
Oh, for
we
sure.
We buy a lot of shit from other countries, right? Like this is something that people want to buy from us.
Well, I'm amazed that I was talking about this with somebody, and it may have been, damn, I can't remember. My brain's off on the weekend, but we're talking about how California hasn't really done a great job of like kind of museuming some of a lot of great parts about that were in movies, and like, Sidney Poitier, this is where he lived for 20 years, or, this is the Bad News Bears Park where they play. Like
the Brady Bunch house.
Right. There's some of it, and it's like bits and pieces on the internet, but it doesn't seem as preserved. Like when you get here, you almost think it would seem like more of a museum in itself, the city.
Because at the time, I think people just didn't think about it, or somebody's house they rented, or whatever it was. Yeah. But yeah, they haven't really, you can do some of these tours and stuff, but it's kind of like, I think California, I still feel like, even though I'm a resident now like that, I'm from somewhere else, from Boston.
Dude.
And
we'll
so
say, for sure, Massachusetts.
California is like, is felt, I think, in a way like, hey, people come here. Right. You know what I mean? So we don't need to bring people here, but like times are changing. Movie business, like you say, is changing. It's theatrical business is changing. It's all, the number you're looking at, one thing that people watch more than anything else, which is
fires at Dunkin' Donuts,
YouTube.
For
exactly.
Sure. But Accountant 2 is in.
Accountant 2 is out in theaters on Friday, and
this Friday.
Yes, see it.
Yeah.
Go out and see it.
And
it's great. Movie's really, really
do
good.
I take a date? Do I take my cousin? Who do I take?
Take your whole family, everybody you know. Actually, the truth is a movie that anybody can see. Like, my kids can see. Real accountants better like it. That's the core. If accountants don't like it, we're still fucked. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Your balance
if you're
going
to call the movie The Waiter, and waiters don't go, you think anyone else is coming? But it's a movie that I think honestly like works for it's smart and fun. It's not like, oh, well, only young people like this or only old people like this. It's got everything. It's hard to make a movie that I think strikes this chord and kind of works for a broad audience, and it is better seeing it in the theater. So, and it's one that I'll be willing to leverage my kind of personal word and credibility on. Amen. Like, go see it. You won't regret it. It's really good.
You heard that. Ben Affleck, thanks, man. Thanks for coming in and just sharing and thinking with me and just having a good time.
Thanks for having me, man. This was cool.
We're excited. I promise that I'll go see it. And
thank you.
And I think a lot of people will.
I hope so. Listen, a lot of people listen to your show, so I appreciate it very, very much.
We'll
Thanks for having me.
Tell your son I said hello.
I will, dude.
Bet.
That's right there. That's the whole reason for coming right there. That makes me cool right there.
Now I'm just floating on the breeze, and I feel I'm falling like these leaves. I must be cornerstone. Oh, but when I reach that hate.